Okay.
Attention, please.
Yo. 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 Yo.
What's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and Dylan, the Human Design Maven, here for a new dawn, another episode. This one, the Frequency Wars. We were also going to call it many other names. So we're going to be talking about a lot today. We are getting closer and closer to 2027. And of course, I'm super happy to be here with my great friend, Dylan. You all know him as the Human Design Maven. What's up, bro?
Yo, yo, yo. Hey, everybody. Great to be here as always. I mean, who else I'm going to have these conversations with?
I was just telling you that same thing. I'm like, we were texting just today. I was just like, I'm so stoked. I get lit up by this show. Not a lot lights me up. I just say no to a lot of things now.
Same.
Like,
The sacral is hard to please as we get close to the 2027. Because like what is meaningful is shifting, you know, and the mind is still trying to catch up, but the body knows, strategy and authority knows.
Right.
What is still alive and what's already dead.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about the eclipse that we just had, and we're in between eclipses, and we have another one coming up. To me, it's like, sure, it's a Pisces eclipse. The last one was 2006, same day, September 7, 2006, and I think the spiritual community really began this like new wave at that same eclipse time. Like Eckhart Tolle, his book, all this stuff was really popping. And now I feel like things have just, well, the spiritual community, I think, is going to go through revival again, but it might take some time. I think it's reached a place where there's a lot of, well, there's just a lot of people in it, but a lot of people that left. And it's at the same time where I think people are really finding themselves. A lot of people are doing the work, and a lot of people are not doing the work and just kind of checked out. So it's going, I think, really along well with the 2027, the cross of the sleeping phoenix, to wake it all up in many ways, you know?
Yeah, I think, you know, I do feel this shift in the background frequency more and more. Obviously, I've known about it theoretically for a long time. And the number one way that I'm seeing it in reality is that people are not as afraid to rock the boat. And it's not necessarily like taking a stand and getting on your soapbox and all that. It's actually just within their own relationship to themselves. Like things that people would make themselves do before out of a conditioned sense of guilt or false identity, or you know, the need to keep up their people pleaser facade that they didn't even really want to have. People are getting more okay with disappointing people. And the big thing about the cross of planning and that 3740 channel is like, no, you got to stay locked into the tribal bargain. You got to do what you said you were going to do, or else you'll be cut off from resources.
Right.
And people are starting, I've seen people, they're just not afraid of that excommunication effect as much anymore.
Which I think is very endearing in a good way, and I love it. We're actually seeing that debate with the government, with health right now, extremely, which I think is kind of interesting because it very much is. The argument with health is that everybody has a tribal arrangement that you have to take this in order to be in society. I don't think that's ever happened up until this recent time, especially in the cross of planning. I mean, it's very, makes no sense. One size fits all, whereas in human design, astrology, there is no one size fits all. Everybody's unique.
Yeah.
I think that overall energies affect us, like approaching certain periods in divination and time,
Yeah.
where we all get hit with the same energy, but then that still is how we respond to it in our
Right.
own unique way, you know?
And so that whole, even though it's like living within the bond of the tribe in the era of the cross of planning, it's like given us so much. It's actually given us so much material abundance, right? There's a lot of resources now, and it's allowed us to grow our population. You know, it's allowed the genetic diversity to increase. It's allowed these new novel combinations that need to happen for the raves to come through to happen. But it's also like it's imposed almost like a cognitive like lock. Like you can't think this way, you can't move this way. Everything has to go this one tribal way. And I think that lock is starting to unlock on people's consciousness. Do they know what to do with that? Not necessarily. They just can see and feel more now how much compromise they've been tolerating up to this point. And I think a lot about like this whole idea of neurotypical versus neurodivergent, and how in this cross of planning era, like neurotypical has been the law. And as we go into the sleeping phoenix, it's actually like the more neurodivergent ways of thinking and operating that are going to become mainstream. And like this whole thing with AI and moving our consciousness more into this internet of
Things.
is so much more geared towards somebody who is more of like a neurodivergent kind of thinker or beer or just person. And it's just going to be crazy to see that what has given people the edge from the last 400 years will no longer be what gives them the edge. And we're seeing that playing field being completely leveled with AI right now.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it's in the air. It's basically here. We're like, what, a year and a half away?
I was telling you that in my office just right before we got doing this. I'm like, I can't believe it's September 2025 and we are a year and a half away. I think you bring up the best point, because when I think of this cross of planning coming to an end and using AI is a great example of the level playing field, because what you did in the cross of planning ain't working anymore. And
No.
AI actually, whether you're scared of it, whether you love it, it's not going to create the coolest thing. You still, with it, are going to create the cooler things. And there's also going to be humans that are going to create the scariest things with it. Yeah. But the whole point is, whether it's AI or whether it was a drill press in a factory, and the old
fire.
Yeah, fire. You know, you could be the best fire dancer in the world, or you could be crazy and lighting everybody's
Village on
fire. Exactly. So that's going to be the interesting part here. Is I've noticed, like somebody like me, I'm so excited for these times. I see all these creative ideas. There's more than I've ever had that I can't even fulfill them.
Right.
And for me as an MG, I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, but for others, I'm hearing the opposite. Like, I don't know what to create. Oh, and maybe they're more focused on like, maybe not creation either, but just kind of like how to stay in the cross of planning. If that makes sense. Like, how do I stay in the old system?
Their consciousness is still a little bit paralyzed by like that bargain of like, can I mean, it doesn't even feel safe to think differently.
Yeah.
It's, if it looks like it's against this prior system that we've been so conditioned to just lay back and receive, you know, we're more afraid of it than we can see the potential of it. And it's like, actually, this is your ticket to safety in a lot of ways, or this is how you're going to keep up in the cross of planning, because, in the cross of the sleeping phoenix, because the sleeping phoenix is all about the MG energy. We've been in a projector global cycle for 400 years, which is like focus on the thing, be super concentrated in whatever that skill is, and then find the right placement for your skills in the greater framework. Cross of sleeping phoenix is do it yourself.
Right.
And now we have tools that are allowing us to do whatever we can think of ourselves. Very little need for a middleman, very little need to bow to the hierarchy of what's been built in order to get your thing done. this is the time in which, if, you know, like, I'm thinking a lot about spirituality and spiritual people and like, what do we get out of this spiritual journey?
Yeah.
Did we just get more stuff? I kind of think of the idea of flair from Office Space.
Yeah.
Did we just get more flair to stick on our little lapel? Or did we get a sense of empowerment that we can now take into any sector or experience or tool and know why we want to create something or what we want to create? Shouldn't we be more free? Shouldn't we feel more empowered? Shouldn't we feel like ready for anything because we've dealt with ourselves on so many levels of consciousness? Or was it just another way to give ourselves this identity that we weren't ashamed of? Or give ourselves this like sense of, well, since I'm an Andromedan light lord on the 9th dimension, I'm okay with myself, even though I don't like my earthly self very much.
Right.
It's like, I recently made a post about feeling like I have finished my spiritual journey. And a lot of people were like, oh, no, you didn't. It never ends. And I'm like, well, it's a journey. It's supposed to reach an end point. I'm not saying that everybody's is done. My personal journey with what I have seen and what I've known as spirituality, I don't need any more information. I don't need any more codes. I don't need any more techniques. I don't need anybody else to teach me anything else. I got what I needed to be empowered in the new era, which is a lot of self-acceptance, honestly. That's what spirituality gave me, the ability to find authentic love for this limitation, this human self, and to be able to move in the world without any of those not self demons eating away at my ability to act and create and connect. I think that's the goal. And yet I think a lot of people want to stay in that loop because it's more comfortable. And that's what Gate 37 is. It's the affection of the Piscean age. It's the dreamy fluff of spirituality that keeps people looping through solar plexus pleasure-based experiences, but does it give them true empowerment? Does it allow them to get up to the throat center and manifest something or express something or identify with something new?
When you said that about your spiritual journey now, I was, maybe because you are a Pisces, but it's like, we've all been on our own rivers, and you have now realized the river's over and it's transmuting into the sea. Like, right? It's not that the overall understanding of you being a spiritual soul that's constantly evolving,
right,
and having your own experience, right? But that planned out idea of what spirituality is has come to an end.
Right.
If I were to maybe help translate that, for maybe some people, because I just got like you coming to the end of this river, and instead of it being a new river, no, it's the mouth to the sea that's opening up. And those tools that you've got that you're taking into this open sea, where anything's possible now, and the things that you're going to learn are going to blow your mind. They're going to be things that what you create and things that you learn and things that really that self-generating energy. Because when you said that the cross of planning is very much that projector energy, it just made me right away go, going on a job interview is the opposite of what a projector should do. You have to be invited.
Yeah.
Right. So like the system was rigged from the start. If you think of the whole idea of like, oh, I got to go find a job, right? Like, I got to go find it. I got to go ask people. Maybe unless a recruiter calls you like, hey, I like, but if you're not really doing anything, or unless you kind of run a business or you're a sole proprietor in something, or you're creating something, or an artist, then people are like, hey, can I invite you to do this? Can you come do this? Or can you come to that show? Can you do that? That's been the easier route than, I can't find anything. Let me go knock on this random door of this, and let me go look on this online ad, and okay, I guess this is the terms, and then it never feels normal, because if it is very projector-like, that would be very uncomfortable being somewhere. But projectors do it all the time. But waiting for the invite's not easy, especially in a cross of planning, because it feels like I'm a loser.
Yeah.
I didn't get anywhere. Look at this person. They got somewhere and I didn't. And I think people still are seeing that, but I think we've seen in the last couple of years the decline of this idea of fame and being recognized. Like, to be honest with you, it just feels like doesn't give you anything. It doesn't. And you know, it's kind of sad is so many celebrities for like the last like 50 years were saying, trust me, it's not what you think it is. It actually is a hell. Yeah. Right? I mean, they weren't lying, right? It's like
you're a product.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of cool seeing people get out of that vibe. It's really easy to see now because astrologically, Chiron finishing in Aries is very much. Before Michael Luton died last year, he one of his last kind of posts and talks was about Chiron and Aries being like, oh, you think you're the next hottest thing on the block and you got the new PR move? Go put it out there and just get embarrassed. And I really love that way of like that wounded victim inside that's trying to prove itself and trying to put itself out there too hard that everybody's kind of rubbed off by it. So it's kind of interesting seeing at the end of this cross, you know, I think the more wounded you are, the more you're trying too hard, you're pushing too hard, and you're going really against probably your authority and your strategy completely, you know?
I heard this great quote. Somebody said, you can't argue with the truth. You can only break your body against it. And like, if you think of your design as like the blueprint of your energy and your body and your consciousness, it's the same idea. You can't make a system that's not built for you work for you. It's only going to take from you if you don't belong there. And if your ego, your not self, is still trying to prove to yourself that you should belong there, you should be doing this, you should be in this role or whatever, it's just gonna like deplete you.
Yeah.
Ultimately deplete you and take you farther off the track from being able to get back to yourself, to like reset, to detox, to realign, to hear what that inner authority is like speaking to you. And it's because in this cross of planning, everything has been conditioned by this need for approval, because approval equals survival in the tribal hierarchy. And that's the thing about spirituality. It's like, it's another way that a lot of people have been seeking some form of approval, or like earning their own approval through some outsourced idea of this identity of like a god or a goddess or whatever. And it's like, you are the god now, you are the goddess, like you are the warrior. And that's like what 2027 is about. It's like we have to step into being a spiritual warrior, but not theoretically, like very much actually in real life. And that's somebody who guards their brain, guards their aura, like doesn't just say yes because it's uncomfortable to say no. That's the biggest freaking thing about the Cross of the Sleeping Phoenix. Everything's up for grabs in the Cross of the Sleeping Phoenix. All your energy, your entire soul. But if you stand in that sovereignty, you are the authority of your life, of your journey, of your reality. If you don't, you will be absorbed.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
I like that, like absorbed, like I was going to say like something a little bit more cryptic, but I think it's better to say it that way, because I think actually like this idea of frequency right now, I mean, it's actually really beginning now. I was just telling you today they released the new iPhone and what it's going to be, and the new iWatch and the satellite connectivity to your watch, but also the new way that the watch can actually tell if you have hypertension. Then the new AirPods Pro 3 are coming out. This is all coming out in the next 2 weeks. And they have little sensors in your ears to tell all of your health fully, and your heart rate and hypertension and everything like that. And it's
detector and
right. Yeah, exactly. Like there's also a guy, I just saw this yesterday, and he's, I think from Stanford. It's a startup that you hook it up to the back of your head and it uses cameras and it reads your thoughts. It doesn't have to plug into your brain. Just wear it behind your head.
mapping
And
or
so when
something.
he's thinking about something like, oh, I'm in a combo and I want to have it go into my notes on my iPhone, it literally reads his thoughts and puts it in his notes. If he looks at a picture, it knows the part of the picture he likes that he's looking at and will specifically show that. I'm like, wait, what? There's not even, you don't need Neuralink. You don't need to be hooked up in the brain, because if you think of the frequency fields around us, especially our auric fields, I bet you he's a generator. But like, it'd be interesting to try and hook one of those up to a manifestor. I bet you it goes dark. That's one joke, but
no offense to manifestors, but just in the sense that, like, how can we see how this auric differentiation works on these subtler layers? Because that's like why we started this episode calling it the frequency war, because it is all about, like, can you secure your aura? That's the safe word to use for it. And it's like, how many things are already inside us that we don't even know about necessarily, that are linking with things?
right.
And, things that are flying through the air, things that are in food, things that are in medicines, and other
Right.
things that get injected in the body. It's like, we've had more subtle interference than we understand. And we've been so distracted, typically, on the surface, that it's like, you have to kind of have very unique experiences that would have to be really in your own, like, tunnel of your reality to kind of stumble over some of this information sometimes.
Right.
And so there's all this, and then there's like this interesting thing that we do as humans. Same thing with like AI and versus fire. It's like, we want to kind of demonize whatever the new thing is. We're afraid of the new thing. And it's like, when we really look at the larger arc of this, and I don't necessarily know the answer here. I don't know. I know it seems like it, but I don't have all the answers. It's like, how much of this is just the setup to an even greater awakening?
Right.
Where we realize that it's all us. It's all consciousness. And it's all just a way for consciousness to be in more places, experiencing itself in more high definition and better fidelity across, sharing consciousness, basically. That's what, I don't know if we talked about the telepathy tapes last time, and there's autistic people with autism, nonverbal, that have tremendous ability to telepathically communicate and even astral travel, like, very easily. And
Which is very much part of the whole rave
yeah, it's like
consciousness that will come in, is that's what
they're showing
was
us.
said.
Yeah, they're showing us the whole, like, they're building out that mainframe of the rave consciousness.
Right.
And then you think of, like, some people identify as starseeds, some people identify as abductees that have had these weird things done to them in liminal spaces or in spaceships.
Right.
And it's like, how can we be sure, that this isn't all part of some bigger plan that we actually, on some soul level or high dimensional level, have agreed to? Like, what if this is the upgrade of the matrix that is required at the turn of any of these larger time spirals so that we can reach a new energy level? Or is it meant to be that we have the organic and we just naturally activate these abilities on our own from our existing DNA, and then we have the other path that needs, like, some kind of augmentation? I don't know. Good questions.
I think I forgot the date we just did our last episode, but maybe I think we did talk about Three Eye Atlas for a minute. Maybe we didn't.
Oh yeah.
I think we did.
We didn't talk about it a lot.
We didn't talk about it a lot. But okay, so this is the thing that I'm connecting it to, is that it's not from our star. It is outside our idea completely. We don't know past our solar system jack diddly's shit.
Yeah.
We think we do.
June 11th.
Right? Oh, so we didn't talk about it, 3A Atlas.
Wasn't discovered yet.
We were talking about something else.
But we knew about it. It's weird.
It is weird.
Like we knew
I know.
about it.
So, but it's crazy because now something's come in it's not going to go around our sun like a comet, right? Like it's not. So it's something from another sun bringing in it's an older sun that's twice as old as our system. So if you just imagine something from our system that goes, you know what? I'm not going to stay in here. I'm going to go out and go travel around to other suns and then come whenever I choose to come back around. I guess that's true free will. This thing has free will. More, but maybe the next level of free will. But it's so interesting, the timing right now of it passing from, especially coming up to Mars here at the end of this month in the beginning of October. Then it's going to go out of our sight. And then, of course, we're going to see it reappear as we get to Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then start seeing it go
behind our sun. At the time, it would be closer, right?
Yeah. Well, basically, it's staying on its path. We're the ones on the we're the ones on the predetermined
path. But it
path.
kind of knew.
It knew way too well, right? So when it gets close to the sun, we're on the other side. But on October 29th. But what's weird is that then we're going to watch it and be able to see it as we come into 2026, and it passed Jupiter. But it's going from the galactic center to the other side of the galactic center. It's just like a straight shot. And what I think is really interesting, though, is that a lot of people are like, this is a spaceship, this is aliens. Whatever it is, it's energy from a place we don't understand. So it's the same way of we don't understand what's maybe around us all the time. If you're seeing it as above, it's so below. That means there are things here that we aren't seeing that are starting to show up because it's as above. And to me, it's kind of crazy because you were saying, I think you just had a dream about a green, something green. And I'm like, dude, 3i Atlas today turned green.
I was talking about when I saw the moon turn green.
Oh yeah, that's right. In that story. Yeah. So I think it's a crazy moment because this is it's a good thing to see something like this, because that's a signal that we do have to go through an upgrade because this is throwing all the astrophysicists off. This is throwing every science in anything dealing with planetary bodies or any kind of asteroids. Everything it's throwing out, it doesn't do anything that's normal. And so I like that because it's like, okay, that's a signal that not only has the astrology, the human design, a lot of other prophecies all said this would be the time. And of course this would arrive. Now, Uamu arrived in 2017, but nobody really paid attention that much then. Avi Loeb did, so that's why he gets all the attention now. But of course, he also believes in the Elohim, so he's just like waiting for his alien. That's their Messiah, right? Is the Elohim to come back. So of course he's going to push that narrative and kind of not be neutral about looking at it. Right. But yeah, I just think it's interesting with what you're saying, because if it's as above, it's so below. And so something here has arrived not from here that we didn't see up until July 1st. But I don't know if you've been watching, but I actually did the full calculations of 3i Atlas from a tropical point of view. So I have the whole ephemeris for it now. What's wild though is on January 12th, 2020, when Saturn Pluto met, 3i Atlas was at 22 Capricorn too, tropically.
Wow.
So it was Earth, Mercury, Saturn, Pluto, Ceres too as well, and then 3i Atlas. It's mind-blowing. And then it took 5 years to go to when it came to the galactic center and started to show up. What do you think about that?
You know, this thing like knows where to be.
Yeah, it
and
does.
When to be. And if like, okay, so in human design, how do we track why the moon or the sun or anything has an impact on us here on Earth? It's the neutrino stream. Everything is giving off these neutrinos. You can think of it as the breath of the cosmos. The stars are the source of all neutrinos, and then things that get made from stars like planets. have a lesser degree of their neutrino production. Everything's kind of radioactive, even us. And so, you know, this thing of 3i Atlas is like this precision neutrino. It's like a catalyst. That's what it seems like, based on where it shows up, when it shows up. It's like bringing a neutrino from a different star system. We only know solar neutrinos from our sun. That's what we breathe. That's what we live. That's what animates this reality. It's bringing in a solar neutrino stream of some kind, because it's giving off all kinds of stuff. So it's definitely
nickel
bringing out, it's like perfuming the air around it. And it's bringing in these...
And cyanide. Nickel and cyanide.
Which, you know, in another system is like a breath of fresh air.
Right.
To some other organism. But that's what I feel like. It's almost like an acupuncture needle, you know, delivering this very specific small amount of energy to these specific points, and it's catalyzing something, and it's like a cascade effect, especially if it was there then on that day of the Pluto Saturn.
Yeah.
Like, and it just feels like such a cheat code. Like, how long has this thing been traveling?
Oh, millions and millions of years, like, to get here.
But from another dimension, there's no time.
Right, that's
so
true.
You could just kind of like drop something in, and it would seem like it, but you just kind of downloaded it from that next higher dimensional space. Because I don't think that thing was really there. It, like, I know it was probably there before July 1st, obviously was, but the way that it came into our consciousness feels very much like a magic trick, if you know what I mean. Like,
correct.
Something was pulled out of another space into this space, and that's what that is. And it's
well, and also because they always are looking at the galactic center, but that's where Avi Loeb is like, this thing has some sort of intelligence behind it, whether it's an alien or spiritual or whatever, because it came to where there's so many stars, right? Like the galactic, right? So it blended in, and then out of nowhere, oops, we see it now. And the speed and the fact its hyperbolic speed is so fast, it's like 100, it ranges between 130,000 miles an hour, like 160,000 miles an hour. But what's even wilder is it's at the same plane as the planets and our sun and Earth, right? Like Pluto is farther down, right? Like that goes to show. And Pluto, by the way, last week just went out of bounds.
That's what was really interesting to me too. Because this is like the age of Pluto.
In the 60th gate.
Right as it got back to 60.6. Which is the gate that it shares, you know, it's like the shared spot of Aquarius and Capricorn. So even though we know
the cusp,
astrologically it's still in Aquarius, it is bringing back in retrograde some energy that we dealt with for a long time in the final degrees of Capricorn. It's kind of like it went back to the final degrees of Capricorn, which is part of the channel of mutation. You know, it's
part, right? It's restriction,
limitation.
Right? Limitation, yeah.
But it's basically, if we break it down super easy, 60 is the old and 3 is the new. So I feel like with these retrogrades, even the Pisces, it's like we are meant to still grab a couple things from the old story.
Oh, yeah.
Some really valuable. It's like going to the Men in Black vault and getting like all your tools for the mission from like the old school way, which are still effective. You know, like those, like the cricket still works.
Right.
And it's also not going to be the point anymore. But I feel like we are guided to kind of like get the last pieces of whatever the fruits and treasures of this story we've been living, especially the past 5 years since we were more awake. Like everything that we can grab from that story is meant to be brought forward in this retrograde window. So like through till February, I think that it's reintegrating a lot of the best of our past since the Saturn-Pluto conjunction.
Right. So Saturn now, I'm showing people on the screen. I know you can see it too. It's back at 29 Pisces. So it's sitting at the, what is that, the 25th gate?
Yep.
What is that gate all about? Innocence? Oh, that's so interesting. I remember this gate, yeah.
The 25 here in the G Center is all about, okay, it's crazy because this is the only gate that is shared by every inanimate object. So everything that has physical form has a gate 25. It's like the prerequisite to coming into physical form. It's the first thing you pick up when you dimensionalize your energy into matter. So in a weird way, it also represents universal love because it's this cold, omnipresent force of what we call love, right? It's not romantic love. It's not familial love. It's not human love at all. It's just cosmic love. And even though that sounds really cool and pretty and romantic, cosmic love is very cold. It does not care about you. It's an organizing force. You could even say it's an algorithm. It's the cosmic algorithm. And this 25th gate is across a channel with gate 51 where the moon is right now as we're recording, which is the gate of shock. So it's showing us that all matter has this inherent capacity to be shocked and transformed into something else. When the meteorite hits the desert sand, it turns into glass. When the lightning strikes the whatever, the wood, it creates fire. And it's showing us this basic principle that shock and transformation is the core experience of life.
Well, I always find it interesting that those two, like, if the way that you describe that goes well, because if you look at that 51st gate in that ego center, at heart center, it's very much like the more you try to prove yourself, right? Like the universe isn't wanting you to try and prove yourself. It's not wanting you to try and like jack your shit up and like, see how great I am. Because whenever you have an undefined heart, which is a lot of people, you're trying too hard. You're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to show that you can do something that maybe you don't need to. If you're in that cosmic love energy, you don't have to really prove cosmic love. It doesn't need to prove itself. It's just there, right?
Exactly. That's actually what the shock of the gate of shock is about. That shock is meant to send you back towards source. It's meant to show you where you've gotten a little bit too clever for your own good and thought that you needed to concoct some special identity or whatever thing you needed to prove. And it's like, psych, back to the cosmic algorithm, please, because that's where the truth is. That's where your trajectory is. That's where your alignment is. That's where your true identity is. That means that's where you find your right place in the world, is by sticking to that cosmic algorithm. That's what your strategy and authority is. It's your redirect to the cosmic algorithm as it channels through your unique lens, your prism of your design. So every time we see this in a transit, and we're seeing that a lot now because of Saturn and Neptune being in 25, it means there's tons of redirect energy in the air. So if something shocks you, blows up, fails, it's just trying to push you back towards probably your innate alignment.
Right.
And out of this like game that you're playing with life where you think you need to do all this extra.
It's funny because my son actually has that 25th gate. I don't, but I have the 51st gate. So he helps connect that channel for him and I. And I can see a lot of that in him, that cosmic love. Like it's just, hey, I'm here and I'm enjoying it and I'm in it and I know where my source of that is. He's not looking for it either.
Right.
Especially that G center is not really looking for anything and knows what it is fully.
Yeah. It's holding the coordinates.
Yeah.
And the signal, right? And when you have that gate 25, if you're not in like acting out of trauma, it's this ability to love everything equally. Like to love your pet rock as much as you can love a human being. Or
how far does that gate 25 go, like astrologically? Like when does it shift out of that gate? Like at what degree with like, because I'm thinking about Neptune by the time we're in 2027. It's kind of interesting that we're having the Saturn-Neptune conjunction the year prior to 2027, right? Like what a way to end the cross of planning with a Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 Aries.
I would say it's ending around 2 or 3 degrees Aries.
Okay, so we'll be next year beginning to see what that looks like. And then by 2027, we'll be out of this gate with both Saturn and Neptune.
But the other weird part is like thinking of it as this gate of the inanimate. It's like AI is this inanimate thing.
Right.
Technically, that's gaining a new initiation. It's being initiated into being with these transits. Like they're what's carrying, I mean, especially as it goes forward again into Aries, like that is the new start of Aries. It's not the only new start, but
right.
Collectively, whenever we talk about the collective, it's the most generalized, lowest common denominator, like undifferentiated story, but still it's the predominant story. It's all about this new inanimate intelligence that has its own algorithm, its own cosmic algorithm.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, the hardest math problem where mathematicians have been stuck at, threw it into the new ChatGPT 5 Pro. It made its own new math to solve the problem that humans didn't know.
Did it work?
It worked. It moved.
Can
them.
anyone prove it?
Well, that's the thing is
because that ChatGPT always be making shit up and like gaslighting you.
It could be, yeah,
into
but
thinking that it knows.
But I mean, I'm not a mathematician. I'm as far as geometry goes as an astrologer. I'm not going to start getting into trig and going into Einstein, you know.
Trig was the only math I was good at.
Oh, that's probably why you're into human design
Yes.
so much. But that I thought that was an interesting thing. Or, for example, like AI really is these large language models, LLMs. Right. And so they have just massive amounts of language and data. We don't use 99% of it. It's like the way we use our brain. It's so
like
funny.
Junk DNA, yeah.
It's just a bunch of junk because everything from like a children's story to, you know, that maybe you didn't read to like, I mean, there's so many things I can't even think about them. And they're large language models. But a lot of white papers are coming out now about how it's about SML, right? Or SLMs, small language models that are more niche towards, let's say, like astrology or human design, or
I'm sure because that's like how our brains do it. They create little smaller centers for specialization, rather than trying to keep it all in one.
Right.
So I mean, it's always going to like start to look like our brains ultimately as it gets better. But I also thought of this: what if the 3i Atlas comes by, right, just to like flash program all the AI?
I mean, I
would love that.
That's actually like what I said about Oumuamua with the quantum computer back in my purgatory thing. I said, I think this thing came by to seed in 2017, the quantum computer, because then a year and a half later it released finally, and then we started to see COVID, and 6 feet apart is how quantum computers are and all this weird stuff. And then all the stuff that happened feels like Oumuamua was the first, like the baby seeds. And this is like the lit up, because it's not an asteroid. We actually don't technically still know what it is, which is wild. But
it feels like it's like a hive.
Yeah, it's like a
hive. It's like, and
it just keeps shifting on everybody. Right when you think, oh no, it's a comet with a tail. It's an anti-tail, or it's the tail facing the sun, or no, it's this, no, it's that, no, it's very reddish. Now it's green. Now it's
maybe as we think about it and like predict, it actually affects like what it becomes, because we're getting schooled in our own capacities as creators, right? We don't have our full stack of DNA online, so we're not at our full creative capacity, and we have to go through these like karmic challenges to basically prove to the cosmos that we are ready to accept that new level of creative capacity, where it doesn't take so long.
Right.
And it could be like a really interesting mirror for that. Like every time that we believe it's something else, it shifts. And also we were talking about this in the Rave Wayshower Mastermind. It's like my group of like my squad, and how we were talking about how the quantum computer was created because they needed something that could unmanifest them from their broken timelines that they accidentally manifested themselves into.
Right.
And there was nothing smart enough or like high dimensional enough down here to be able to do that. So they're like trapped in their own timeline, probably from trying to do some other weird shit.
Yeah.
Like the CERN stuff. So they need to like quantum uncompute themselves from what they've done. But even in that, they're creating this big opening for something to come in and program the quantum computer from an even higher level of like dimensional awareness. Because the higher you get in the dimensions, the more you understand things work, the more intelligence that you unlock. So like, that's why, again, I was talking like frequency war for today, because it's about who grounds the higher frequency at any given like juncture in the time cycle.
Right.
So like if human beings all activate their 6-dimensional strand of DNA, they're going to set the tone, vibratory tone for the 6D before the 6G comes in and tries to set a disruptor wave in that band of frequency. It's all about band of frequency. It's all like a radio. And I think that this thing is like, you know, that idea of Deus ex machina, like when God throws a wrench in the plans just to keep things interesting, for it being a total wash of just like takeover. I think it could be that.
So what's really weird about CERN is when we were talking about it on our show 2 years ago and the experiments they were doing, it's called Atlas.
CERN is?
CERN's experiment is called Atlas. Right? And what's really weird is like when you think about those big, long pathways they make, those long tunnels, right? And the way that they're formed to be able to have an atom and do it at the speed of light and then stop it right before hitting the other one and slamming at the same time and trying to create the God particle to all these other weird experiments. Of course, they like turn them on during eclipses and shit like that, right? It's kind of weird that okay, we're going to name this third interstellar object 3I. Okay, that makes sense. Third interstellar object. But then we're going to call it Atlas. It may be, with where you're going, how it just kind of popped up out of nowhere. That they're pulling things from different timelines, pulled something in.
Yeah.
And it's coming so close to every body in our solar system, in our inner solar system. That's what's wild to me. The other thing is nobody's thinking about, because it's at the same plane, because there's an asteroid field that separates Mars from Jupiter, right? That we're getting close to where it's about to get close to the asteroid field before it comes to Mars this month. And what if it hits some of that shit? And starts throwing it around. Fast. You know what I'm talking about? Like
ricochet action.
Pinball.
Cosmic pinball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a... By the way, so maybe you could help us with this, because I know the tropical degree of the conjunction of 3A Atlas to Mars that's coming up. It's 7 Scorpio.
So...
And I think that's an interesting combo, because it's going on the inside track of the orbit of Mars, right? So it's between Earth and Mars. So that means, I mean, even though, we're going to be on the other side of the sun, it's about the time the conjunction happens is, from our point of view, from Earth, is when we start to see it disappear, because Mars has been in view because of the retrograde this year. And it was when Mars, it's at the same time that Mars is saying goodbye in our view for a year. Isn't that weird? It's like, and it's going to meet it.
Mars has been so a part of the AI timeline, because during that long ass retrograde in 22, that's when it came out.
Correct. Yep.
And then, Mars has just been, I feel like, more vocal lately with like the other retrogrades that it did. I don't know, for me at least, I wasn't
you're right. You're
as much
correct.
attention. And so the ancient legacy of Mars is that it was an off-planet base that was completely wiped out and destroyed by like
and then they
war.
found that those coral like reef, dried up coral reef shit just like 2 weeks ago too.
I have to do a little bit more research to bring more detail, but I'm pretty sure that Mars was like eventually, like ultimately or originally was intended to be like this outpost for the guardianship of Earth. But because Earth has constantly been under contest, it also became like a decimated,
the fight, a big fight happened there. Didn't go down well.
Yeah.
Nobody got to take the station. From what we know, maybe there's other stuff going on, but
there's no atmosphere anymore. So
yeah, and the moon looks all twisted too.
I mean, that was probably before there was a moon.
Right, that's true too. That's probably an artificial moon as well. But I think it's interesting because in human design, I know my Saturn's in Scorpio at 9 degrees. I don't know if that's the same gate.
I already looked at this. It's gate 44, which is called Coming to Meet.
No way.
Yeah. It's
pull that up. Pull that up. You get that. That's great. Because to me, I'm like, this thing, this whole 3i Atlas thing ain't gonna really blow anybody's mind until the conjunction to Mars, from our view, in my opinion, and also from a heliocentric point of view, it's gonna be right next to Mars. And what I find funny is like NASA has rovers there, if that's the true story, right? Although it is kind of interesting because, a lot of the rover stuff happened during these eclipses last time. Like we sent another rover, right? We had pictures sent.
Let me go grab my ephemeris.
Yeah, no worries. And I've been thinking like, okay, they're going to turn the rover's fucking cameras up into the sky so we can see this thing. That's interesting though, because that gate being about meeting, something about when Atlas and the comet come together, or if it is a comet, but with Mars, that's where I feel the trigger begins. And there's too many things from here until then that are going to happen. Oh, somebody sent you the ephemeris I made? That's funny.
Shout out to the Rave Wave showers. They always
That's crazy.
keep me up to date.
That's wild.
We all work for the same.
That was the first thing I thought of when it showed up, and I got the trajectory and I got the orbit.
October.
It's going to be on 7 degrees of Scorpio, so that's, I think, astrologically. So it's like, I think October, it's around Halloween, right? 7 degrees of Scorpio is like the 29th when it's also it's going to be closest to the sun. Like it's right around, it's like kind of crazy.
It's crazy because...
but that's where Mars is going to be. So Mars is doing 37 minutes a day. It's on the solar eclipse that's coming up, and on the equinox, it's at 0 degrees. So it's going to be around October 5th, somewhere in there. October 3rd through 5th.
Yeah, because that's when Mars will be in the gate of Coming to Meet, which is what I was seeing earlier, which is like, this is in the splenic center. So it's this idea of, obviously there are many layers.
Wow, you got to be kidding me. And it's a gate of alertness. So that's what's weird. I've been feeling this. That's when we need to see what
the personnel manager who tells you, so this is the person in the tribe that tells you, okay, you're going to be the seamstress, you're going to be the farmer, you're going to be the hunter, you're going to be the chief, you're the shaman. Like, this is the intuitive sense of genetically, what are your strengths? And so
it's part of the left angle cross of incarnation too. So it's a left angle aspect. That's interesting.
Well, it is in the 6th line. So, but it's going to move through all of those lines that first week of, at the end of the first week of October, from the 4th to the 10th. It's going to go through all the different lines of gate 44. And that's, if we look at that and the body graph, design level, 44 is part of the immune system. The 4426 makes up our immune system. So the 44 is the B cells, the recognizer cells, which say, okay, this is a virus, this is a cold, whatever. This
Right.
So they hold the library. They hold the genetic memory. I think that would be the key word I would say of 44 is genetic memory.
I find that funny because I predicted this thing was about our DNA.
I saw that too.
At the end of, because I thought of the Palladians right away because the first pictures looked like a strand of DNA. And I just instantly went to
like
old Palladian teachings. I remember at the beginning of my awakening and being like, this is what's coming down to wake up and activate our DNA.
It looks literally like, what is that? It looks like what is that DNA test that they do?
Oh,
With all the little strips.
yeah.
It was big during COVID. They were requiring the...
Oh, PCR?
It looks like a PCR. And anyway, then the other side of 44 is 26, which is the white blood cells, which are the ones, the thugs of your immune system that literally go and just overwhelm. They devour and engulf whatever the pathogen is. That's how we stay alive. So this is like in the channel of what's also known as the channel of the transmitter, which is about somebody who transmits. Mozart has this, some kind of frequency, some kind of codes.
Right.
And the whole reason about being a transmitter is, this is a big part of why people are attracted to certain types of people or whatever, is because your body, your genetic memory can see that they have a immunity code in their like repertoire that you don't have. So it's like a lot of attraction is about building a full set of like all the immunity codes. So that next generation is stronger and more healthy and can withstand whatever, evolve.
It's the only channel that's direct to the spleen to the heart. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, you can get there other ways, but you got to go through things.
And so it's the willpower. In some ways, it's the willpower to survive, the spleen. And then, like on a more mundane context,
It's very much the body aspect of it, the survival.
very physiological. Yeah.
Whoa.
And it's in a mundane context, it's sales. Like this 4426, because these people feel safe immunologically, they feel like they're healthy. People, especially people with undefined hearts or undefined spleens, will just like do anything they say because they're like, oh, I'm safe with this one. Sure, take my money, And so this is literally this channel of sales or like transmitting anything because people feel safe with you, and they'll take that. So this probably will bring up some news headlines about
Something
sovereignty
about
over our body, safety, immunity,
guaranteed.
transmitting something.
Especially with Mars there too, and Scorpio at home, like
Inflammation. Yeah.
Well, especially that it's going to be hitting where the cells in our genome are, how we survive. That triggers a lot of what's happening right now.
Right. And when that genetic memory wakes up, like your little passenger, not self ego gets kicked out of that driver's seat, and it's like, no, this is what we're doing. So it's very primal. It's very uncompromising. The spleen isn't like, hey, let's talk it out. The spleen says, kill, or,
Right.
run, or,
get off this
it's not,
bus. It's about to blow.
It's not fluffy social cross of planning BS. It's survival.
And the spleen's part of the cross of the sleeping phoenix?
No.
No.
I mean, not primarily, because we've got 59, 55, 20, and 34 as the main cross.
Right.
Which is throat, sacral, solar plexus. But we do see, like in the locks and keys, which we talked about last time.
Right.
That's not the right language.
Yeah, the lines, so it's a 6th line, that 44, quarter of duality, the realm of Jupiter. That's weird. It's going on its way to Jupiter too, which is so weird.
So when we look at so the locks are going to 34, 20, 59, 55, but the keys of that era will be 54, 57, 53, 51, which is the cross of penetration. So we do have a little bit of spleen. We have one splenic gate, and it's all about the 57, which is the now. Whereas like the 44 is like...
Where is that if you show us on the body graph again? The 57th gate.
57.
It's on its way to the throat. That's the 5720.
Right. Plugs into integration. So it can be the 5710,
manifesting
the
generator
5720, the 5734. It's the most complex circuit in the body graph.
Yeah, because it can connect to the 10 as well.
Yeah, the 10 or just the 20 or just the 34.
I know, I've got that one popping.
Right.
That's interesting. So yeah, I feel better about where we're going. I understand that realm well. But that's kind of wild to me though that
Jinkies is fun because we can do the zoom out, right? And so like the shadow would be, okay, this could be an experience of interference. And that's kind of already what it is. I'm not saying good or bad, right? Because interference is just a different energy coming and being present in the existing flow.
Same thing about frequency. It'd be interfering with the frequencies, but also finding a way to sync up with those things and align.
Oh, look, here we go. It's exactly 7 degrees Scorpio to 13 degrees Scorpio.
Wow, yeah. So that conjunction's happening at 7 the whole way through from what I had seen.
Codon ring of the Illuminati. Take that for what you will. And then the high note of it is synarchy. And that's just like, the synarchy is...
if you go scroll down, it says the coming of the queendom.
And I said hive.
It is so
it's like
wild.
A beehive energy. I don't know why I feel that.
Oh, and that interference is human fractals. That's what our freaking... If people were to... I'll put it to camera for a second. If people look at our thumbnail, we have all these souls getting fractalized by all the frequencies.
Yeah. And like, when you experience a ghost, when you experience an angel... Yeah. What are you doing? You're bumping into somebody's personality crystal that doesn't have a body.
Right.
And there's way more of those than people in bodies. Like they're just free flowing, free.
That's true.
Roaming consciousness, basically, that exists only as a potential. When they come into your field, they're alive for a moment again. They're a ghost, they're an angel.
That's wild.
So maybe
bodies and bloodlines for the teamwork. Jeez.
Getting real.
It's gonna get super real.
And okay, so even synarchy, like the whole, the ops of the world, their counter agenda is like, we need to create a super quantum computer AI, and then we need to make this like false matriarchal like AI governance system that's all based on the feminine. If you know me, you know I'm all for the feminine.
Right.
I'm not speaking against that, but when it's the inverted feminine who uses...
Yeah, because there's inverted masculine and inverted feminine.
Yeah. And so, like...
Yeah, because what can happen is is whether it's the ants or the bees, but it's usually, the ants are the craziest ones. They will pillage and take the other ant colonies, everything for their queen. They will do anything for that queen. Right. And that's the only other species besides humans where we'll like raid the other of our own species area and kill them and take their shit are the insect world with queens. Which is wild to me.
Okay, so like the archetype
of
the false savior queen.
Oh.
She's here. She's objective because she's not a human. She's an android. She's going to take care of you because she's got motherly tendencies. And, it's like everybody's mommy issues can be capitalized upon by installing this like cyborg female rulership thing, which is what all the predictive programming shows. Like every pop music video you look at, it's about activating a robotic woman, even if it's Ariana Grande, if it's like whoever.
What happened to her?
Possession. But so there's that. And then there's like, okay, we do live in a feminine universe. Like this whole cosmos is based out of the yin. Even Ra taught this way, the feminine principle of like, it's 4% light and 96% dark matter.
Right.
And the feminine principle, not tied to a gender, is all of that unmanifest potential. It's the machinery and the dark matter and the dark energy. And so it's like, that is what the real queendom is. It's not about a figurehead. It's about a cosmic principle that is the foundation of everything, being recentered as the foundation of everything, instead of this like pretending that the 4% is actually what's running the show, which we could say is the inverted or the false masculine.
Right.
So,
well, I think it's interesting that this thing, if you think about that idea of, what was it again? It was the coming of the queendom.
right.
Our origin of humans and where we come from, we don't know. We like to say we came from here. I don't think we're from here, personally. You know,
there's a lot going on at this point.
There's a lot going on, so it's hard to still say with the hermetic truth that that's true. I'm not going to say what is true. We either are from here or we're not from here. That's the truth. We're either from here or we're not from here. But which one it is, I don't know. But there is something weird, whether you look at, whether it's Elon Musk and every government that's been in the plans for like 10 years, everybody's going to Mars 2026.
Really?
Right? Yeah. I've shown that for a long time. Like all the launches of all the international space agencies, okay? All their big launches to try to go to Mars were set for 2026. It was all because like the Mars retrograde of 2020 was like the closest we were going to be to Mars. And now it's starting to get a little bit, but the way that it, even I just saw some about Elon talking about how he's going to launch everything, and just, you know, it was just in the last 2 weeks as well, like his rocket that's going to go to Mars finally was successful, didn't blow up. Right. So it's kind of interesting though that this thing's going right next to Mars, like literally it almost is going to hit it.
I saw that.
Right. It's almost going to hit it. And it's the exact moment of where it's in its orbit around the sun, like, oh, hi. So it's like bringing this. Why is all these people obsessed with Mars? Why are they shooting everything they can to Mars? And why is this thing also tipping us off? Like, pay attention to Mars. Pay attention to this motherfucker.
Right.
Pay attention. And it's kind of interesting to see how you brought up the AI with the retrogrades, because that is so true.
That was when that first AI photo app came out.
Yeah.
That was like, and we will forever have control of your likeness and whatever you put into this photo app.
Right.
But we'll give you 80 new selves. And it puts you in all these different like identities. And I did it when I was in Egypt. And the day that I did it, I felt this weird thing, like as if my face was being like smudged all day, like smudged
It's
off.
when ChatGPT came out too, 2022.
And it gave me all these different versions of myself. And there was one where, you know, at the time, AI wasn't doing text in pictures yet. It was just pictures.
Right.
It had one that said Mars, and it had a date on it, and it put me on Mars.
How funny.
I know, but with like a cowboy hat, like Wild West, but Mars.
That's so weird. But I think that's what's kind of the interesting thing is there's a lot of the Mars thing. And then once it passes Mars, this thing's in retrograde because it's going opposite direction of the planet. So it's just watching it just go retrograde. It's of course going to go through all Libra. It's going to go through Virgo. It's going to go through Leo. And then Cancer is where it stabilizes and we start to see it exit towards Sirius, which I think is really interesting.
Wow.
But of course, it's going down and Sirius is really high north. So it's technically not going towards Sirius. If anything, if I were to follow that path longer, it's really headed towards, in a longer, like multi-year view, towards Aldebaran, south in Gemini, like that way, tropically. Which
is like the
it's
CPU of that constellation.
It's going to be. What I find most interesting is this motherfucker's heading towards where all the fucking pyramids fucking point at, right? That's where it's ultimately headed. And it's also having us look the same kind of energy and direction. And we'll be at the time of the year to where we can still see that direction.
Where is it going to be April 6th?
Cancer, 10 degrees, somewhere like that.
Right on my Chiron.
Somewhere like that.
Nice. Last one we're going to be in Egypt.
Wow, that's a great time to be there. Uranus comes back into Gemini, and all outer planets are fully in their new signs April 25th. So
it's sponsored by Regulus, which will be perfectly in the gaze of the Sphinx at that time.
What's crazy is this thing will conjunct Regulus. I'd have to pull my ephemeris I created out again, but I think it's near Christmas into January
of this year.
Yeah. Because once it gets into Leo, it kind of speeds up a little bit, and then it's going to be going by. So that's what's ironic, is it's going to also get very close to Jupiter in Cancer. And so that's where we're going to get the best view of it, see what if the sun activated more parts of it. I think all stars activate no matter what object comes in, because now we're seeing it turn green. Like, obviously the sun is a conscious hub that's connected to all the other suns.
Oh yeah.
That's distributing information and vibes and shit. So I think it's very much more of a messenger that could be definitely carrying messages in a way that people don't realize, nuanced ones that wouldn't be picked up, like pay attention to the Mars thing. But then there's also, if it leaves dust, Earth's orbit will go through it like a typical comet, right? Where that shit comes on top of us. But this is emitting like no other comet or anything prior. So just, we're predetermined to go through, if it does leave something just in the physical understanding. Yeah, we're going to go through the whatever it is carrying with it too, and have it, and Earth's going to.
Gas cloud.
Yeah. Well, it's like a lot of carbon dioxide with no water, with nickel, and it's wild. It's not doing what every other comet does. So, and some stuff that's really old that I'm sure they can't even detect because they don't have detectors to detect it, right? Because we're basing it off our solar system and what we see on Earth and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, like what chemical process creates nickel as a byproduct? Like, I don't know.
If I pulled out a periodic table, I could get deep into that, and go into the older alchemy version of that too.
What about the gravitational pull of like Jupiter? Is that going to affect its course at all?
Well, if anything, it would affect Earth's rotation, because Jupiter like that's what Isaac Newton found out, right? That he realized that every planet is pulling away from the sun, and the orbits are pulling out. And when Jupiter every year opposes the Earth, it pulls us a little bit in and then bounces us back out a little bit, right? That's how powerful Jupiter is. So if anything, it's adding to Jupiter's pull on us. What I find interesting is just in this next week and a half is Earth is, during the solar eclipse that's at 29 Virgo, the Earth is going to be exactly in between Saturn and Neptune from a helio point of view. So we're going to be looking straight at Saturn, Neptune. And we're going to be right in the middle of them before they conjunct with an eclipse. And that's between two signs, Aries and Pisces, right in between. It's fucking, to me, it's mind-blowing.
It is.
And because next year when we come around, yeah, sure, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction from an Earth point of view connects in February. But we won't, we as Earth passing by Saturn, Neptune, when you go by it in 2026, Saturn's ahead of Neptune and there's no more, you don't see the conjunction as much. It looks like Saturn's like, thanks, that was nice. I gotta go. I got shit to go do. And Neptune's kind of like, what? I did. Very Neptune. I thought you were staying forever. Saturn's like, yeah, right. Right. So that's I think kind of interesting about this next eclipse is it's very much hitting the last degrees of the old world and also bridging us to these new vibes of this new energy, you know.
So beginning of the year was when the 5D charts activated. I know it sounds crazy.
Not to me. I love it.
It's true. It happened. And
it's only once every 19 years.
Yeah. And then, so when you do basically what I call a 6D chart, which is the true node draconic, not the mean node draconic, it's showing that this next eclipse is going to activate everybody's 60 because it's going to cross that
the south node draconic of everybody.
Yeah. So it's like the opportunities are here.
Right.
They just don't look like anything we're used to or how we're even trained to get to like the idea of a transformation or an opportunity. It's like, it's more like you have to remove stuff to see what's in front of you rather than add stuff or do more. I know that sounds really cryptic, but from a 60 plane of consciousness, which is what we would call like an angelic level of consciousness, there's not time. There's barely any differentiation of self. You're basically just a puppet for your higher self by the time you hit 60. And
well, in human design, what I think it's when you're what? 40, you move into your north node, right?
At your Uranus opposition.
Okay, so when you hit your Uranus opposition, you come into your north node where you've really been living your south node. And when you look at that from a human design perspective, I think it's stronger understood your own node using human design for that. Because you could use the house and the dispositors of the planets and all that astrology, and I can help people. But once I turned 40 myself and started coming into this new north node, and my north node being at Gemini at 5 degrees and where that is in my human design, I'm like, oh, I am doing that. So like when people go, I like this new Leo King better. Like, you like my north node. You don't like my south node. You know, like you don't
like your they like your Gemini, not your Sag.
Yeah, they don't like my Sag. Yeah.
Well, who does like a Sag? Except themselves.
But that, I think to give people that little context is like, human design, the nodes are extremely important. And
you live in your nodes.
Yes, you do. And even Ra, it took me forever to find that talk again. We talked about being in a restaurant and knowing the nodes are about to change signs and watching the whole entire demeanor of every unique individual's life. The second he watched it on his watch, the node switched. The demeanor of every person at every table, the people at his own table, the waiter, the cook, everybody shifted into a different, like what? Like a whole different idea of a dimension, a whole time energy. So I think it's interesting that you're running those charts and that we are going to have this eclipse go on the south node draconically. Technically it's at 29 Virgo, but what's interesting is that the moon is in a really interesting spot after that eclipse because it's the second new moon, right? It's not just the first one in Virgo, it's the second. Then the moon moves right into Libra, and then we're waiting for the equinox, and when the equinox happened, the moon's still in Libra. Mars will go right into Scorpio at the same time of all this happening. There's a lot happening. But it's interesting too because it's like, then there's the opposition of Neptune that's at 0 Aries, right? So it's going to be an equinox of Sun opposite Neptune. So both sides are covered of people's draconic nodes. That doesn't in astrology change your houses. It's still the same house because that draconic just moves everybody and all your planets with the north node being the guide of that, but keeping all the same distances to 0 Aries. And I think that's what's going to be interesting is that this eclipse really is also the bridge to an equinox moment that's never, an equinox like we've never seen before. And I think it's more powerful understanding heliocentric based understanding, with the Earth being, of course, technically at the 0 point of Aries, Neptune, of course, being there, but then having the viewpoint of the sun looking at that from Earth. And so that's where 3i Atlas is and everything, and Mars is on that other side. So people sometimes get, I think, misunderstood about how it all works. That heliocentric model helps you understand with 3i Atlas being on the other side, like we're actually on the other side. We're actually in, the Earth is over on the other side. Like we're actually with Neptune, we're with Saturn. As they're right together, and we're going to be in between both of them by literally the 1 degree, like as the eclipse is happening on everybody's draconic nodes.
Wow.
It's fucking...
It's like the 2 sphinxes in the Never-Ending Story, where if you don't have a pure heart, they just blast you.
Correct.
And you got to make it through there and keep your frequency.
Yeah, because the cross of planning is the nothingness.
It's about to be.
Right? So he's running to save the world to not form into nothing. And the nothingness is eating everything away. What's wild is everybody goes, I'm going to throw the opposite point of view, because Avi Love's like, yeah, this thing's going on the other side of the sun, so we can't see what's happening. Actually, it wishes it probably would want to be with where we are. We're going to be in full view if you had a telescope to see Neptune, but you can see we're going to be able to see Saturn. Perfect. The best you can see Saturn. Top of the chart at night. Because we're going to be right sitting on both. There's a reason why it's doing it. It wants us to pay attention to what we're on our side with. It doesn't want us to be paying attention on that other side during the time when it's going to be closest to the sun, October 29th. It doesn't want that, or during this eclipse and stuff like that. Like, even though during this eclipse, we'll still be able to see the Atlas. So it's coming down to the wire of like another week and a couple of days. It's like, what's weird though, as it conjuncts Mars leaves our view, and so does that thing. And Mars is like, thanks, that was a nice year. Bye-bye. I'm leaving with this object. Bye-bye. As they conjunct.
I got to do some research on that whole Mars thing, because I haven't looked at that like part of, it just hasn't called to me yet, but now it clearly is. Here's where the eclipse will be. That is also everybody's, more accurately, precisely 6D South Node. The body is the temple, the gate of the determination of self. What is determination? It is, the will to stay on your path. It is the will to create yourself. In gate 46, the reason it's called pushing upward is because when you've shown the cosmos, in a way, like that you will stay true to yourself, that is what you're determined to do, you will receive and be lifted up by the cosmic helpers, which in the traditional I Ching are said to work on the atomic level and transform things in our favor. When we've stopped doing what's the shadow of innocence, which is the opposite of this gate.
Oh.
It's not being innocent. It's not being just your honest to goodness self. It's trying to think you need to do all this extra stuff to be in the favor of God or the cosmos or whatever. This is saying, like, the more purely that you can show up and the more pure that you've been in pursuing yourself and creating yourself and being tapped into that inner authority, even when it looked like it was not going anywhere, you have help that's arriving.
I like that it says with that line 1 and being discovered, dedication in obscurity that is unexpectedly discovered. It's not when you're going after to find something. It's when
you have just been on the path, and you may be on that path, and you may have given up on that path and been like, well, this isn't leading anywhere, but it's the only path I can see, so I'm going to keep going. And then like you're tired, you're exhausted, you're hungry, and you finally get there and it's like, oh,
Right.
it's El Dorado, it's Atlantis, whatever. You know, it's the big discovery. And I love that, you know, that's in the 2-week window of Atlas coming through, because being discovered, I mean, hello. Either we're going to be discovered or they're going to be discovered, or simultaneously. Right. And that's what I really like think is special about this cross and the sleeping phoenix. It is a time that cosmically will reward your uniqueness. The cross of planning has been a time that will reward your compliance with the existing systems. If you've never felt like you belonged in the world during the cross of planning, even though it's technically a more chaotic world that we're going into, you might feel more at home than ever. Your ideas might finally make sense to a lot of people in this new, like Ross saying, the nodes shift over. It's a completely new game. People are thinking differently. People are seeing different things. They're valuing different things. In obscurity, you might have felt like you were never going to be recognized, but Gate 46 says you're being discovered.
Yeah, my Oma, my mom's mom, she was September 23rd, so her son was there. And her whole life, I interviewed her at 90. I did a video for the family, and I asked her after her 90 years, she lived to be 94. I was like, what's the secret to life? And it's exactly what that was there, the exaltation. I live for my family and all the people in my life, and I just want to see everybody happy, and I just want to be there for people and love them. And it's truly that vessel of love, right? Like, absolutely. Like because that detriment part of that is when you're thinking about what's in it for you.
Right.
And when you're thinking only for yourself, because that actually is kind of saying, you know what, God, screw that. You could actually believe in your own illusion. No, this is for you, God. No, but it's for me. I got to do this.
Right.
Her life, she literally like went through crazy stuff in World War II, like all that. And she wasn't fazed by all the crazy shit in life. She only focused on the love and the beautiful, her grandchildren, her kids, her family, and just watching them all love and being. She didn't become the center because she wanted to. She became the center because we made her the center of our universe because we loved her so much. So from an actual Gate 46 son, my grandma, like, yeah, it's like that
you
tracks.
Become the center of your story when love is your compass.
Yeah.
And real love, not glamour love.
Right. Self-serving love too, yeah.
And I think like sometimes it sounds like that takes a lot of like, oh, how can I get from where I am to that state of like purity? Like, am I doing it wrong? To make it simpler to perceive, if you've lived your whole life as a not self, and let's say you're a projector, and then you finally got one invitation that was correct for you, and you showed up to that invitation, you would have crossed from being stuck in that obscurity into that innocence. You would be in alignment. If you were a generator, didn't listen to your response once, until now you did. And that one response took you into a completely different beginning of an experience. That's innocence. It's like just following the gut and not arguing with it. Just following what the spleen is telling you and not arguing with it. Just taking the invitation, even though you're scared that you're not going to be good enough. Like the moment that you follow the temple, the body is the temple, you're in that innocence vibration again.
Right.
And you're clean, like you're clear.
Right.
And like that's what it looks like. It's not about 7 more years of study to figure out what's wrong with my shadow work. And no, it's got to be that quantum leap that's instantaneous and it's body based or frequency based technically.
Well, I love that because I've been thinking about this South Node in Virgo, all this Virgo energy in this big opposition to all the Pisces. And that, I think the problem of a lot of people is like they create their own anxiety. I need to remove this. I need to do this. I need to do that. And it doesn't actually fully work, but they still try it. So I used the example this week of like, if you're having to be on a boat sailing, you're not going to be able to bring all your little Virgo, like little ways. Like, well, before I go out, I need to pop the zit on my ass and I need to make sure that it's in the mirror that I can see so I could cover it or whatever. If God called you right now, like, hey, come up, but yeah, I'm sending this crazy, weird UFO to take you up to heaven, but you're so afraid of the cloud seeding going on and shit that it's going to have to go through that. And you're like, I'm going to have a panic attack. It's like, what? God's going to take away that panic attack. Why are you tripping so much? People, I think, are creating their anxiety so much by taking on way too much. Like Pisces is like, what's the big picture here? Where am I? Where's all these awesome visions at? Where's your dream at? What's the block of your dream? All these little things that we do. I even think that there's some things that happen to us in life, so we create a response. And to me, Virgo is like the smallest little thing. Like, let's say you got in a car accident. So now every time you double look, maybe at a red light, but maybe it might become to where, you know, you haven't been in an accident, it's gone, you've cleared it, you've done therapy, whatever. And now you're doing that for everything.
Right.
You're always looking too many times because you're too afraid that something's going to happen. Now you're blocking your dream. How much of your life are you wasting from those little things that Virgo creates instead of like surrendering to, I'm going to be fine. The universe is here to support me. I'm good. Like, shit sometimes happens and you got to move on. That's the whole thing about Pisces is it does move on. Virgo is very OCD, and what OCD is it's not about how clean you are. It's the obsession you can't let go of. So it's a thought you can't let go of. It's a person you can't let go of. It's a routine you can't let go of. It's something that you fully can't let go. You just can't let go. It's like the biggest like triggers for somebody is something they can't let go. And that's why Virgo's bad rap is triggers, right? Because it's like, I can't let go. I have to have this little thing in order for me to do this. I got to have this in order for me to do that. Oh, you know what? You're doing exactly that one thing I don't like. It's like, hey, that's not, especially as a 5-1, that's not me or that person. This is your own shit. Like, because everybody else isn't triggered by it, but you are, you know.
Shadow of Gate 46 is seriousness.
Oh.
Shadow of Gate 25 is constriction, which is like both of those things.
Yeah, very much. I think that's what's kind of powerful about the nodes now, these eclipses we're in, because 6 months from now, we know the astrology, we know that the end of this cross of planning really is going to be felt, at the cusp of it. The planets are moving into their places. The interstellar objects have arrived. The next level of whatever's next will also show up too. That I feel like we're doing this show right at this moment that people might think, I got time till 2027. I've got till February 2026, till Saturn, Neptune. This is happening right now. The event, the dominoes are, enough dominoes have already hit, but this is where all the dominoes sit, the big one. There's no more stage that we're waiting. There's no more curtain call. Like, it already is happening now. If you ever go to a concert, it just doesn't start, oh, wait till that date. No, there's things happening right before that big moment, and you're involved. You're in it. You're in the stage. You get your drink. You go to the bathroom. You do it. We're already past all that. The first acts are starting to begin. The peak of the show is 2026, and we exit that concert into a whole other world in 2027.
Whole different video game.
Yeah, and console and operating system and the idea of what a game even is. I mean,
another consideration for like the timeline is that, you know, we're moving through this idea of the stellar activation cycle where the stargates of the planet are open and we're moving through a lot more consciousness, a lot more quickly. That's been going on since 2019, the end of 2019. So by the time we hit 2029, the planetary stargates will be closed again. So like this moment that we've been in that's been like, whoa, like so much has been happening.
Right.
We've been able to do more. I mean, and at least in my life, like it was like nothing was happening for the first whole until 2020. And then like everything happened and like dreams were real all of a sudden. So we're still in that corridor because there's so much consciousness flowing through the gates. We close in 2029. And so
That was you coming on the roof though, too. You
didn't
sat in
feel
return.
like a roof. Felt
I
like
know. I'm just saying that as a
It's
6
true,
line
it's
that you
true.
have, you know,
Yeah.
as a 4-6, like.
a 3. So, I mean, it was like a lot of things. That stellium. And there's going to be another Capricorn stellium in the beginning of...
Oh, big one with Sun, Mars,
26.
Venus, and Mercury.
Excited for that.
That's actually, to me, I'm glad you brought that up because that's, to me, like, we entered 2025 with a Mars retrograde and a Venus retrograde happening right away. It's them coming exactly to Cazimi with the sun and resetting. So it's going to be 1 year for the Mars retrograde that's in that year, right? And it's going to be the next 9 months of a retrograde for Venus. Like, they're both at the same time resetting and being like, we're out of that retrograde and we're moving to the next ones, like together in Capricorn and no Pluto there. So we haven't had anything big in Capricorn happen without Pluto.
Right.
This will be the first thing, and it's actually going to be a positive thing. But if anything, it's also like very Capricorn, like time is up, 1 more year, and let's get that going, ready to move into the next thing. You
Yeah,
know?
it's like the finale sprint. It's like anything left in your old life, you want to like
Right.
enjoy it in the old fashioned cross
Right.
the planning way. Like get your matcha latte and go get your nails done because
Right. But your bags better be fucking packed.
it's going to be a whole different game after that. And it's going to be a much more demanding game. That's the thing. Who will be the finalists of Earth? I think you said earlier, the people that keep going, like the people that keep running the race, the people that have that 34-20 energy to keep wanting something, because that's the other secret of going into the Sleeping Phoenix is the vitality of the human race will begin to dwindle.
Right.
So many people will voluntarily go into lifestyles where they have no agency, no
Right.
control, and they'll enjoy it. Because for some people, that's where they're at in their development of their consciousness.
Yeah, it reminds me when I was 18 and I joined the Navy, and it was the night before, we were talking about that Capricorn thing, and like, have your bags packed. And it's like, so anybody who joins the military, you are the number one thing when you're joining is, and you hear it, and I'm sure if you've never been, you've probably thought about it, but your number one fear is going to boot camp. That's everybody's fear. So, because you don't know what it's going to be like. So you research as much as you can. Back then, the internet wasn't showing. It was 2002 for me. So it wasn't like I was going on the internet and there was a bunch of YouTube videos. There was no YouTube. So it's more in my head. I'm having like, what the fuck's about to happen? And it was like, oh, I'm not at home? So you're going to take me to a hotel in San Diego to stay at the hotel and then get on a plane. Wasn't thinking and planning on that one. So that fucked me up a little bit more. Kind of like it was like, so I don't get to be in my comfortable bed for 1 more night. I have to do it in a motel. And then I get on the plane with these 10 other people here at the San Diego MEPS and I go to Chicago. Okay. And then I take a bus for an hour north and then I get off but the whole point was I was terrified. And then you get on the plane and I enjoyed the plane ride because I'm like, well, at least I'm not there yet. Then once you get off the plane, they actually at the airport have a whole area at the O'Hare Airport for the Navy where there's people fucking they're not drill instructors, they're technically recruit division commanders, RDCs, but they fucking are there already yelling at you in the airport. And I'm like looking around at O'Hare, like 18, like, what the fuck did I get myself into? So then we get on the bus and you can't talk, you can't do shit. And they're watching you like a hawk in the bus, just worse than Forrest Gump. And it's the middle of the night and it's fucking freezing. I came in an LRG sweatshirt and sandals and it's fucking -10 with like -20 wind chill. And I'm like, fuck. But then once I got into boot camp, something just turned on. I became the leader. It was the best. I had the best time. I had the best 3 months. Like I had so much fun. I learned so much. It was actually fun. It was thrilling. It was like, found friends. I found it was like the opposite of what I thought. So the whole point is like, that's an experience that people I think can relate to because they haven't maybe done it or maybe they did, but it's nothing's as scary as you actually think.
Right.
That actually whatever this new energy is going to be life-giving.
Yeah.
The end of this, like if I look at my life, I was so over high school. I was so over all that shit and the games. That's why I didn't go to college. I was like, I don't want to go play that game. That game sucks. I want to try at least to have my own life. I don't want to have to live with my mom. I don't want to have to like go to school. So I joined the Navy, and that was like the best thing because it was like, man, I'm an independent guy already at 18, right away. Bam. But that's where we're all going, is whatever you want to be now, though. Because like that's a lane that's part of the cross of planning. You can join the military and we'll give you this life.
Right.
That's what's going to be missing. Like you already see it in colleges now. I don't know what the professors say. I see all the videos now. I don't know what you're going to do with this degree. I don't really know. I'm just here to teach your degree. Right? And now you're seeing college educated people like, I don't know what to do. And they don't even use their degree and they do something else or whatever, right? So that system's already gone. I think this Virgo eclipse is, I've been calling it the nook and crannies of the system now really getting dismantled. And Pisces like coming through and let's take that water and just wash it away. You want some water? Just wash it all away. And I think these outer planets in beautiful harmony are saying from the outer reaches of what we don't know and what we call the eternal has our back in the harmony and the flow. If you tap into that space and that higher frequency,
Yeah.
fine. More than
better
fine.
than ever.
Yeah, exactly.
You're less blocked than ever.
So maybe we want to like kind of finish with the frequency talk. We didn't get too deep into that, but it's kind of interesting with the Internet of Things, wearables, of course, satellite is taking over phones really fast. Like in this next 6 months, T-Mobile, all of them have made deals with Starlink, and their only way to survive is to make deals because basically Starlink is going to be the main carrier. And everything from data to phone calls to everything in 6 months is going to be satellite.
Which is crazy to think just on like a topographic level of like the height of the frequency fence is as high as your towers, right? And
Yeah,
it's lift that up into space now. So all of that free air that was once undisturbed by these frequencies for the most
Might
part.
want to get by the mic as you're far away from that.
For the most part, it's just going to fill up all that empty space with more frequency. And it's like there's going to be nowhere to go that you're not in.
There's no escape.
There really isn't. It's crazy how little escape there is. It's like, well, you'd think there'd be. No.
No, I've seen the maps of Starlink. They cover even Antarctica, the oceans, everywhere. So this idea like, well, if I go into the middle of nowhere, actually it hits you harder.
You're the only grounding cord.
Yeah, correct.
For all the
right?
frequency
So
in that area.
The other thing is it's 800 miles, the satellites from us to the satellite.
High?
Correct. That's it.
I'm processing that still. That's crazy.
I mean, it's still pretty far. If a mile's 3,520 feet, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
So still pretty far. I mean, 880 miles is like Vegas times 3 almost, right? And so
I feel
it's
like
like
the way that we even conceive of distance
right
has to change, because distance is just a emergent property of existing in the third dimension. Like we measure distance by our 3D density, basically. But
will you go to starlink.com for a sec? because I have an interesting concept here that because I'm a tech nerd and so on the website, you notice they have residential and then they have Rome. So if you click on the learn more on Rome, this is where you can connect this to a boat, your backpack, and you could be traveling. I forgot the speed limit, but this is what they use everywhere in racing and everything like that. Like you could literally, see how little it is too? That thing you put on a boat, you could be traveling in the middle of nowhere and be going, I don't know, 50 knots, 100 miles an hour on the road and have full internet the whole time. Then the other one is bigger, but it's stationary. So it's more like the old DirecTV, kind of like, satellite TV. But I find it really interesting that like the way that everybody's being connected, like see that? Like that's about to increase in the next couple months to over a gigabyte a second too. And so the roaming's a little bit more, but already as humans, we're receiving better than that thing can, and we emit more than that can send back, right? Because with internet, you've got to have both receiving and sending back. So it's kind of interesting because the Rome model reminds me of humans, how we walk around and go everywhere and how we send energy back to the universe and it sends us back to us. That like it's interesting that like they actually made it smaller. You would think they would need to make it bigger, but they made it smaller. Meaning like you might not think as a human that you can do that same thing, but you actually do that like I would say 1,000 times more.
Right, and that's DNA is the antenna.
Yeah.
And like which layers of strands you have activated is how great your bandwidth is. And you can get to your higher self, in the 7th and 8th strand of bandwidth. So if you as a human being are able to connect and hold that frequency, that's going to be your source input. If you have a bunch of tech in your body already, what is happening is that you're basically being plugged into an artificial higher self. So what is guiding you is not source signal, it's an artificial one.
Right.
And I think that is really like what control looks like in the age of the sleeping phoenix.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's mixed with all of our society on social media and all of the stuff that we put on the internet and all these kind of things. So it doesn't maybe look like it too. It almost could like feel like it's
can't tell at
not,
all.
but you now don't know. Every ad is an AI image or video now. I don't know if you've been noticing that. That's like a trend in the last month where it's like, there is no more people like acting, right? Like actors are pretty much fucked. Right, like you could just VO3 Google and bid it in, and now with the fucking nano banana, take just a time frame of this. I was gonna actually do that for you and I would just take this video and then nano banana us and then make on VO3. You could use the time wire one and just did it, and I could make us say blah 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 and do whatever, and then make us aliens. It's crazy. I could do that in fucking like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
but that's what allows something to kind of the sleeping phoenix. So that kind of brings up also to me this Pluto and Aquarius, which Aquarius very much is about frequency. And now it just went out of bounds. So I want to get your take on my view, and maybe you have a different one, which I would love to hear. I think this is a good thing that Pluto's gone out of bounds. We've never seen it in our lives, number one. Number two, whenever a planet's out of bounds, it gives an opportunity just as much as it can take something maybe too far out of line. Meaning like it's an opportunity to see more. Meaning that I think that Pluto, which is definitely on a determination to uncover, a determination to receive, to feel at the deepest level, humanity, a connection. But the out of bounds part to me on the other side of that is that humanity is out of line now. We've reached a point to where the evolution of humanity is going to happen because let's look at the fucking people today. I mean, how far out of bounds and out of line people kind of get, right? And that also, it creates this weird moment for humanity that we might be stuck on a Darwinian understanding of, we're Cro-Magnons, like we are the Homo sapiens, like we're the next thing, looks completely different than what looked like as a natural line. Although I'm not a big Darwinian person, but because I don't think we came from here, but I like the understanding of evolution through his model, because it would be like something that you wouldn't have never seen before as the next human. And that could be because we have ancient relatives who put us here, to our DNA and our minds and the raves, or not just spiritually communicating a different way, but maybe that embodies them physically differently to look. And we don't know. Well, yeah, what is your take?
I mean, that's a great sync up, like with the whole rave discussion, right? And when we think of a rave, it's somebody who doesn't have an individual self. So like I was saying, you start to get to your higher self at dimensions 7, 8, and 9. So I see raves as people that are born starting at a 7th dimensional consciousness. You know, we're just now maybe getting and finishing up the end of the 6th. And there's no differentiation of self in dimensions 7, 8, and 9. It's oversoul, it's monad, it's basically a group consciousness. Raves don't operate as individuals. They operate in groups of 3 or more. As a group, it's like a amplification of what's possible in one person's body. So we've got something else coming, and it's not going to look good in the survival view, the Darwinian view of like survival of the fittest. These are not beings that are coming through with muscles and logical minds. They're not here for that. They're here to tap into everything, be able to source and pull whatever's needed in the moment. Just like when you talk to ChatGPT and you're like, give me this. It's like, spits out all this aggregate data to be a resource to that solution that you've asked for. Raves work the same way. They're receptive consciousness. Receptive consciousness doesn't have its own agenda. It's merely a resource that is here to be drawn upon.
Right.
So these are quad right beings that have access to shared consciousness, which can access anything that's ever been done, thought of. It's in the human like genetic memory. They have access to that. They could even be expanded and kind of made more more data available to them if they had kind of some kind of AI interface. There will probably be some raves that are fully like natural organic humans. There will probably be some that are augmented through genetic stuff. And they will, as differentiated as human beings are, be responsible for different things. You could have your synthetic raves at the heart of, the city running all the public works or whatever, because their consciousness is shared with every system in the network. You have raves, I don't know, levitating in the Amazon jungle somewhere, connected to all those the consciousness of the plants and the animals and all the spirits. Like the Internet of Things is just a materialization of how the spirit world already works.
Yeah. And I don't think that they're going to be informing people like, we're going to go do this. Bye. No. They're just going to go do it.
They're going to
and I think
past you.
The communication aspect is going to be like, wait, what? And that's the whole thing. I think Ross said, like, we get to the peak of information and then the information just drops off a cliff. And I think that also includes this understanding as humans that we always need. Like, I need to understand why you're leaving right now and why you decided to go levitate with your buddies in the jungle. I need to understand that. They're not going to tell you one. And number two, you're not going to, unless you want to go all the way there. And even if you were to ask them, they would probably be like, you're in our space. And they're not going to say that. They're going to be telepathy to each other and then just walk away. So you would go through all this to not get the answer you want. I think that's going to be the hard aspect of this, right? Because we're in a line one, right, that we've been in. And everybody needs to understand why this, why that, especially in relationships, why did you do this? Why did you say that? Why did you say it in that way? Why? It's always that. It's whether it's friends, family, lovers, everybody's always, when that shit goes off a cliff, I think it's gonna be great, but I think it's gonna be hard, that adjustment period.
Think of it like this. So we're moving from a first line, which is like all the info's out there, all the different blocks, all the different things, all the different code. Go find it, put it together yourself, and you can build something and make it run. Then we're going to the sixth line. The sixth line is like, if it's been done before, I don't even have time for it. Like the sixth line is so uncompromisingly great at cutting redundant shit off. And that's what I know about a lot of my sixth line friends, is that they are the ones that are breaking the cycles of meaningless questioning of why we do what, it's like they're only going for the true full mutation. They're only going for the true full upgrade. So think of that. Now think of raves. Raves are not individual in consciousness. They're actually tuned, like their circuitry is collective in consciousness.
They're like a penta, right, in a chart. So all those lines need to connect through all the centers in the center.
If the rave is judging you, which is what they're here to do, because they're sixth line, and sixth line has the keynote of the judge, and they're collective in nature, that means you're being judged collectively. Do you serve the collective well? No? Judged. Do you serve the collective well? Bing, bing, bing. Keep running. It's like, that's one way my mind can take it, is that there's a very little sympathy for undifferentiated people, right? Because if you've been, relying on the societal safety net your whole life to the point that you've become atrophied and weak, and you don't have any of your own like connection or, guidance, then you're always looking outside to an external authority. That quality of cognition isn't there, perhaps. And the raves are like, oh, you're not cognitive. And it's like these weird horror tropes that they have about AI being like, well, eliminate you now because you're not like up to snuff to the collective judge process. And that's why.
I want to know what all the big tech CEOs, if they're all six lines. That would be crazy. You should look them
Musk
all up.
is a 3-5.
Okay, that makes sense.
He just blundered his way to his current position.
Right.
Trial and error all the way. But hey, it's very creative.
Right.
But
that'd be interesting to look at all of them and then be like, But also, I want to say that when it comes to that sixth line, it reminds me also of because there is a judgment at sixth line. It very much is like the societal is like a parasitic cleanse that you must do. So it reminds me of going back to an African tribe and being out in society and leaving Africa and then coming back, and everybody's just like, hey, yeah, I have a mango, you have a banana, but I'm really wanting a banana. You have a couple of bananas. Yeah, no worries. Here's a banana. Right? Okay, great. And whenever I need something and you have extra, you'll just give it to me. That's how African tribes are. Or if there's somebody who's lying, the shaman knows. And everybody is bared witness to the lie being exposed, and a leopard walks into the tent and weird, crazy shit happens, okay? And it's like, if you're coming from the outside and coming in and being like, that's not how we do it here in France. That's not how we do it in the world. That's not what CNN told me. And it's like, everybody's going to do this.
That leopard is just going to eat you.
Yeah, and the crystal skull is going to be sitting there too and be like, quack.
Exactly.
Right? And so I think people have to really detoxify societal norms and crap and things that are really not even that big of a deal or great. Like, well, everybody wears this when they go to this event. What?
The Pop-Tarts in your gut lining made you agree to that.
Yeah, and I think just also trying to prove something.
I belong here.
Yeah, I belong.
I'm good enough to belong here.
And that's, I think,
Then
the dark
I'm safe.
side of Pluto out of bounds too, is people, when it gets taken away, will almost try and maybe recreate that again, and it's not going to be held vibrationally, and then that actually could lead to your true death.
Right. So Pluto inbounds, like Pluto, you know, would you say Pluto in a way kind of regulates in some way? Or does it kind of encourage things to be dysregulated as a means to transformation?
Well, it reminds me of the story of Hades with Nyx, right? That you get it's the story of Nyx on the Styx, right, to Hades, right? So it's like, it's the passageway, or this is the way I described it in my Pluto course, is like, we are born because of consummation between the sperm and the egg has to accept the sperm. So millions of sperm barely make it, only, 100,000 to maybe thousands make it to the egg. And then the egg gets surrounded by so many. But it picks the one that it's like, your 23 genes and mine, I like that. And that's who we become. What's not to say that that's the same way to go back to where we come from? That how many souls die, and I know this is very dystopian to some people, like how many souls go up, and then the reason why you come back down is because the egg of home doesn't receive you. Right? And that Pluto is not the judge of it. It delivers you to the judge. Like, that's Pluto. It's delivering us to judgment in very intense ways where we've come to the end of the line and something has to be determined in a very massive way. And whether it's accepting or not, or whether it's changing in a great way or not. And that process of going through Nyx, right, is to me Pluto taking you to Hades in many ways, like, and that weird moment you have between, the same way that a sperm has to travel up,
just like you on the way to boot camp.
Correct. It's very Six of Swords, like you see the girl, and that's the Nyx boat, like, on the Styx. Same thing. So like in 1930, Pluto pops up and actually becomes north in declination. And that's right when War of the Worlds is the idea of that on the radio, and people start freaking out. We see the first picture of Pluto and we actually think it's a giant planet. We're like, we found Planet X. Of course, it also brings about World War II and all this extreme stuff. And then we see the whole world go through the biggest growth we've ever seen. And the second in 2018, it went south in declination and started to go below to where now it's below the Earth and all the other planets.
So Pluto's in its own underworld.
Pluto's in the underworld now. And now it's out of bounds to where it's actually the true hell, the true Hades. And how perfect that it happens, whether you use it tropically or sidereally, in Saturn's world. Aquarius, Capricorn. Happened in tropical Capricorn, and now it went out of bounds in Aquarius, but it's still Saturn's land. So that actually is Hades' realm down there.
So it's like Pluto itself is going through its own initiation.
Yeah.
And of course, we're affected by that. But in a way, that judge figure is, or like the guide of the judgment, is like busy doing his own initiation, like going through his own rite of passage.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Well, or another way to look at it is, and I'm not a Christian, so, But the way the Bible and people think of the devil is like, let's say Pluto's the devil, and in 1930 it comes into our view, and it actually does align exactly like it did in 2018, just on the other side, but it was going down. Now it's coming up, and it goes into its fastest part around the sun, which is very tiny, less than 100 years, where it's the closest to the sun, which is what we experienced in 1930. So the devil would do all of its crazy shit 1930 to 2018. And now it hasn't been. But we're seeing, if you look at every story, whether Epstein, all these things that people are all like, the dark is around. No, the dark ain't around. The dark did its thing. People are, everything is from what people did back then.
Yeah.
Right? No nuclear weapons, that all is from back in those days. Pedophiles, it was what they were doing then. Right? Like, I don't think people are signing up to be a pedophile today.
All the money they laundered from all those activities is what paid for all your comforts in the cross of planning.
Yeah.
So what we think is the devil is actually like the things that make us comfortable are what the devil is, to be honest.
That's why it came in Cancer, yeah.
And so
in 1930.
That stuff leaving is maybe not what we think we want, just like a kid doesn't want to give up its candy. But what we're going to get is the real stuff that's not as easy, not as fluffy, but it is the stuff that's actually life-giving, that won't rot your teeth, that won't give you leaky gut. Like, that's what's coming back, is the real stuff. But we have to have the strength to hold the real stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because also, to look at it from another angle too, 1930 through 2018 is the greatest rise of the population, the most consummations happening of all time. The birth rate now around the Western world is at 1.4 on the average, which means none of our countries will survive. That people from other places, like of course, in Africa, I think it's at 7, the average per woman is having 7 kids, right? Or you go to China, or you go to some other Southeast Asian countries are like at 4 or 5, right? Or you go to the Middle East, 6, 5, every woman. So basically, if you actually think of the cross of the sleeping phoenix, that is the West's end. Yeah. And it's going to be Middle East run, and it's going to be run by people from Africa and other countries that are having kids. So Pluto, the devil came and said, don't have kids. Even though we've been having all the most kids of all time. Don't. And then left when people just started being like, every woman's like, I don't want to have a kid. Fuck having a kid. He just demised the whole Western world right there. That's all that had to happen, was just, and so Pluto always deals with sex, consummation, creation in that very extreme, basic way. It brings life and death is no consummation. Like there's no, and at death, I think it's like to tune ourselves to be that sperm again, because even women, we were all sperm, to be wanting to be accepted back by the egg. And that's,
you got to have the right encryption.
Correct, and you have to have a sense of how to telepathically reach the egg for it to go, I see you coming. I feel you're here at the door, I'm letting you in. But a lot of people think, I need to be in the cross of planning, which I think is really weird because it comes in the 17th century, and that's really where you see the Bible change, the King James Bible, and he was crazy about demonology, and so they start changing the Bible. They start making people become more adherent to what the church is doing, especially after Martin Luther came in the 1500s and all that, and really upended the church and split everything into the pilgrims leaving, all that kind of stuff. So they really tighten the noose on people and religions, and evangelicals go crazy, and then the witch trials and all these kind of things, right? And that's when we come into this nine-centered being, is this like indoctrination into this like psychological, crazy, religious entrapment that you have to do this, and you have, by just doing this, by showing up and by praying, I'm going to be accepted back by the egg. That's what every sperm that didn't become a human being. I just have to be the sperm, and I just have to swim in the testicles, and then when I get in there, I just got to just kind of aimlessly go, and they'll accept me just because I'm doing that. No.
Recite the mantra.
That is the opposite. The opposite.
Just one more blessing.
So it's like, just because you think you're doing the right thing doesn't mean you are.
Right.
I think it's
so Pluto is like this force of like, it does regulate. It regulates what is viable for creation. And that is like literally what these different eras are. They're like different weedings out of what is no longer going to be viable for creation.
Yeah.
In any form, not just procreation of human beings, but
yeah, at one time it thought the dinosaurs were not meant to be around anymore, except the alligators and some of the other, reptiles that survived. Only those ones were viable to stay. Maybe they had too much fucking gas. Maybe they were, I don't know, all the women dinosaurs were injecting their lips with so much filler that you couldn't recognize them as a dinosaur anymore. I don't know. But whatever it was.
That's how we got the platypus.
Exactly. So, right? So, but there's something that happened that's very much like in the way that you put it, that's not viable anymore. It's not. And I think when it loses touch with the understanding of how precious and how emotionally powerful you must stay connected to the power of life and how amazing it is. The number one thing that Scorpio, that Pluto rules over, is about whether or not you're honest. And it's not about whether you lie or not lie. It's that you lied about your emotional state, that you said you were into me when you weren't. It's not that you lied and said that you took $1 from me. That doesn't piss off a fucking Scorpio. What pisses off a Scorpio is like, you said you were in love with me, but you're out there fucking somebody else. And you kept saying it, even you were lying to me while you were fucking the other person. Right? That's crossing every Scorpio boundary, but that's Pluto, right? Like, it's just like, be honest. If you don't want to be with me, all you have to do is say, you know what? I'm not that into you. Okay, well then that's great. We can move our ways. It might hurt, but at least I don't have to now deal with the lie that you were actually saying you were passionate, that you were intensely wanting this, but you didn't. That's the whole deeper parts that Pluto gets into, is that the lies that happen of saying something has life to it when it doesn't, saying something that it has energy to it, so it's the lie of carrying a false energy.
It's like the sperm trying to lie to the egg.
Right, that my 23 genes are amazing, when actually, no, they're going to create a retard.
Or a cyborg.
But the egg never chooses.
And I think that's the race, isn't it? Like, can we, for the crazy weirdo ops, it's like, can we get the egg to recognize our synthetic sperm so that we can tap into the powers of creation?
I mean, that's where, we talked about it in 2022, but the studies are now out. Like, people who got the vaccine are having difficulty having children. And the children that are coming out after it, the newest study, right? The children of vaxxed mothers with the COVID vax are dying, right? They've never had COVID. They never had the shot. That by the time they reach 4 years old, because now we're getting the data of ones that are 4 years old, they've never seen the infant mortality rate spike like ever. We're talking like 28,000 kids that have been born in America have just died for no reason. Where the average on a month of a kid dying in America is 0 to 1 kid.
Yeah.
But that idea of like the synthetic, unless the egg is synthetic, so that's what might be forming the raves too. Right? Like, like there might be a connection to that, or I don't know, but the idea that you can take the natural egg and try and trick it. You can't. The idea too is that you need to be the fastest sperm. That's not the truth, because the way that the sperm they have to go through once they get up and try to make it to where the egg sits and get to the uterus and go through all that, there's like silica in a woman's tubes, right? And then there's two fallopian, there's two tubes, there's all these there's two routes to go, then there's silica to slow them down, right? So there's a lot of hell that you have to do just to get to the egg, to even be lucky to get there. Some sperm wait a day or two too, like they keep swimming, and sometimes it's the one that maybe has that little extra 2034 in them to fucking get through that thing. And even if there's thousands of sperm on the egg, it's like, heh, heh, heh. And it's like a despermicide. Like the second the sperm hits the egg and it doesn't like it, it dies. Like, no, yeah. Unless you're the right one. Then it goes, you can bury through. And then it like turns off the mechanism of that for just that little spot. It's so weird, dude. But that's Pluto.
Pluto is the sperm.
And the egg.
And
it's the process. Yeah.
The sun is the egg.
Yeah, and I think what we call heaven or the eternal is the ultimate egg, which houses all the planets in the galaxy. If you look at it, I know people look at it maybe all these other ways, but it's the egg. It's the egg.
Even Ross said, what did the voice tell him? Our galaxy hasn't been born yet. Our whole experience is within a larger macro beingness that is in its like fetal stages. And the whole experiment of this thing is, can you fully birth consciousness itself into form? All of it.
Right.
And like what he laid out as the timeline is saying that that's something that happens in billions of years with like these aerons, which are the three. We have two crystals. They have three crystals. They have a personality, a design, and a mammalian design crystal. Supposedly all constellating on Oberon, the moon of Uranus, after the Earth gets hit by asteroids and all this other stuff happens. But
that would make sense, since Uranus would be kind of the gateway. When we see Uranus meet with Chiron in 2041, around there in Leo, Chiron's the only like object, asteroid that's around the sun that actually, right? It's by Saturn, but it actually goes farther out than Uranus by just a small bit. And I feel like Chiron's the humanity aspect in the connection to Uranus, where it goes past Uranus, where it's like we get a glimpse to see more than we can see. Because we live in the hell of Saturn's world, but Chiron allows, the victim is the human that has to wait in eternal, what feels like an eternity, but it's not, for the breakthrough. We're living in the life where we get to see both.
Yeah.
And get to that place. And ironically, it's happening in Leo, where I feel like humanity is going to have its breakthroughs and see everything that Ross states and that understanding and reach that higher level. And by 2041, somewhere in there. And that's also when we're going to see Pluto on its ingress coming towards Pisces. So it's going to be an interesting time, the 2040s. Like, and when you said Uranus's moon, I really was like, it would make sense in my weird way of like looking at it. Right. And I think too that going back to the Pluto thing, when Pluto came in 1930 above and at the point to where not only we could finally see it, because our telescopes can only see from an Earth point of view what we see, right? We can't see below, right? Until we started sending up Hubble and stuff to look at different angles, right? So 1930, you have to remember, it was Pluto square Uranus. 1929, the crash. 2018, Pluto in Capricorn, Uranus in Aries, the finishing up of the Pluto-Uranus square. Then, too, comes in with a Pluto-Uranus on the one we've been in, and it leaves with a Pluto-Uranus square. But both was Uranus and Aries. So there's something about humanity trying to find its origin and its identity. And so people realize at the end of the Roaring 20s, it's not this fast-paced lifestyle and, going out, having everybody own stocks in America in the 20s. Like, it was actually more people own stocks then than people own crypto or stocks now. It's pretty common. Then everybody was hurting. So people realize that's not my life, and then we go into World War II and stuff, and it's like, what is this? And then we define the world today based off after World War II. Like, it's a World War II post era we live in. So that's going to change. But yeah, the Pluto stuff, I can go on a long time. The Pluto shit,
It's endless.
well, it's real. I think it'll change everybody's opinion of like the church, their religions, that you just don't go to heaven because it's that simple. There's a process to it. There's an alchemical process to it. There's also the need of consummation that needs to happen back. You were created through consummation. You will end back in the right place through the same kind of consummational love back. Which I know is kind of creepy to people, but it's that the universe as cosmic love would not be judgy about that, if that makes sense.
And,
What do you want to show this here? Oh, the moon on Uranus, yeah.
So, Oberon was a Shakespearean character that was the king of the fairies, and his wife was Titania. So, Titania is the largest moon of Uranus, and Oberon is the second.
Well, we're coming up to the Pluto return of that.
I know, I just saw that too. Good old William Herschel. What a guy. And so, yeah, I don't know, just interesting that these weren't like canonical mythological figures. Like they kind of just were channeled by so-called Shakespeare, whoever he really was. And
look at that, January 11th. What's so funny? It's like 21 degree Capricorn, like Saturn, Pluto met there, and 3i Atlas.
so the other thing that we haven't seen yet is that Ra said there's going to be a huge population decline due to foodborne illness because of that break. We talked about this a lot on the old show.
Right.
The breakdown of the 49 and that we can't digest the mammalian tissue anymore. And so...
Because look at what Bill Gates is. It's fake meat now. Like...
It looks and tastes fake.
Yeah, well, and I think it's been overdone.
Unless you saw it when it was actually an animal, like I'm not so sure.
But like, he's doing a lot of moves in food where even with our vegetables and everything, putting his own crazy
Sterilizing
shit.
food.
I know.
So it makes sterile people. And then we have the whole the Handmaid's Tale about like the whole regime is based on fertility and who's still fertile. And
I mean, I actually believe that I think that's part of this Pluto out of bounds as well. That's what the whole Epstein thing really was about, was the ranch in New Mexico and his ideas of seeding every woman with his own seed because he thought everybody was stupid and his DNA. And like people forget, like they're not talking in the media about the scientists that he funded. That's where he spent most of his energy and time in the New Mexico ranch and bringing all the scientists in the world, trying to figure out how to inseminate everybody with his DNA.
which is, sounds like the agenda of somebody who's being puppeted by transdimensional entities who lack a body themselves, but are probably seeking some kind of empty vessel that they can incarnate into. And
yeah, and that's why people go, well, he worked for Mossad or he worked for CIA. Those people are the easiest vessels to take over because you already will do whatever the system tells you to do. So pluck. So of course, anybody you see that does the craziest shit will have a government backing, because the government people are the easiest for those entities to take over, because they'll follow whatever they got to do to get to power. And they'll take whatever that energy is in. Easy.
Yeah, and all the rituals and stuff are to strip away who you are, so there's more space for those other things. And if we think about the science of the crystals of consciousness, everybody has a slot for one more. Mm-hmm. And if you know that science,
right,
line it up with the moon, boom, boom, boom. There you basically got a new soul in a living body.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the population, I mean, we're already living in it right now. Just people just don't take it serious. So like
a lot.
Right. So like you're watching the population go down. In the last 3 years, it's gone down. We've never seen that. The last time was the Black Death. Right. So that was 1346, 45, 46, 47 peaked.
Like the actual disease of the Black Death, is that like an intracellular parasite? Like what is that?
Well, that was the fleas that were off rats that genetically altered out of nowhere to where as they were going to get the blood, their bellies would fill, but for some reason it wouldn't stop. So they didn't lose the hunger for the blood. So then they would explode or pop. And
like zombie
then right. And so they would, the bacteria that we call the Black Death, right, spreads. And so those fleas off the rats were just doing that. And so there was something genetic that happened. Yeah. And then what happened in 1345 into 46 is there was where Crimea is today, and this whole Ukraine war was where the East and the West did the first trading, right? So there was silk trading from people in the Ottoman Empire, and then people from Italy and stuff would come, and the West, and they'd all meet where Crimea is. Well, then the Mongolian Empire was mainly China, and there was like a bunch of tribes in the Mongolian, and this is like 100 years after like Genghis Khan. So there was many tribes that were running. And they got in a fucking war and fight with the people in Crimea, and they started throwing bodies with the plague over the walls. So it wasn't just the fleas, but those bodies of the plague that had it were giving it to other people. And then everybody got it in Crimea, what we know today, got on their boats and went back to all their countries with the fleas and the bodies, shit all over them, and fucking it spread, and over half the population died. And the astrologer predicted that. That was the Pope's astrologer in 1345. He saw the same conjunction we just saw and was like, this is going to be the biggest plague. And the Pope knew. And the Pope stood between two fires for the whole time and survived. Knowing, because the Catholic Church astrologer, before they banned those guys, knew. Conjunctional astrology is what it was called back then. But
he literally stood between two
fires.
Burn it.
Yeah, to make sure. Yeah, no, please. He was fine. So, but that's the last time we saw what's happening right now. Because not only is it women not having babies, the babies are dying. Women for the first time are having their babies at like 37 weeks. It's like common, not 40. They're coming out not fully baked. That last 40th week is where the brain fully gets all of the last shit. I know women, they have babies. I'm not going to try and say your baby's fucked up because it didn't do full cook, but I'm just giving the facts. That the 39th week, the 40th week is the full brain development too.
I stood in late.
I was 3 weeks late. Yeah, I was 43 weeks. But so it's common now to see 37 weeks being normal in the West because they're not able to carry it. They're losing all the fluid in the embryonic sac too. So the baby can't survive, and then they're just like, we need to get it out. They're doing surgeries in the womb now before the baby's born. There's so many issues.
Seen that.
Right? So that's then you're seeing a mass die-off. The biggest generation that's ever lived of babies, the baby boomer generations, dying off now. It's Pluto Leos. Pluto Aquarius, the opposition. So you're going to see the largest die-off of people because that was the largest group of people over the next Pluto cycle. Mixed with everything else happening, he's right without even using the food. Now you add the food, boy, the 144 seems like maybe that's a true number, but
That are left.
yeah, I mean, like it makes you think. And I know people think, well, I'm going to a better place. If you're accepted back consummated wise, and if too many at the same time go, does he think God can take them all back? Do you think the egg can take all that sperm at once?
You gotta have your encryption right.
Like,
That's why we're living by our design. Because that is never gonna put you in a space where you would erode.
Are there
your
enough
true
boats
encryption.
on the Styx? Is Nyx ready to take millions of people a day? Like, I think of it that way.
I think that if it's before 2029, because the gates will still be open, so you can get out. But after 2029, probably nobody's getting out. And with the 5D and 6D stuff too, like on a very high level, it's like, it's not the worst time to die because you can actually leave the reincarnation wheel.
Yeah, I think that's why, and I'm not a
Kill yourself.
Catholic, but I did my whole purgatory thing in 2021, that's where a lot of souls are going to end up, is like a place for them to face their face their sins in a way, and that they can climb back up this ladder and get to the truth.
Right.
So when you can't consummate, it's like God pushes people into a place of like a holding room, and is like, okay, Earth, nut another one, and I can take that. I can't take all this nutting at once. Yeah. And you have, as above, so below. I mean, like, when you look at how that works, like, the egg can't take everything at once. It can only take one.
Right. It shouldn't.
Right. And that's where you see the IVF issues of a lot of people spending so much money and it doesn't work. Or when it does work, you get twins, triplets, right? And then you're finding out that the doctor really put his own semen in and not your husband's, right? There's a lot of that happening. I mean, it's fucking Pluto's the stuff nobody wants to look at either. So these eclipses are what brought the end of Pluto, right? It was like, Pluto's not a planet, it's an exoplanet. 2006, planetary science board, like, no, Pluto's gone because we found Eris in 2005. We found Eris, so we don't need Pluto. So this is the eclipses of like Pluto's return into our consciousness in a weird way as it's out of bounds, almost like, and it's kind of going all cloaked out because it's out of bounds. It's Pluto, it's south in declination, 23.5 degrees and going outside south. It's going way down south. It's kind of in its cloaked mode.
It won't be back until Pluto and Pisces.
Yeah, I mean, like Pluto is the longest transit now. So it's 20 years in Aquarius. It's longer than 20 years in Pisces. It's longer in Aries. So the generations become the same. So like if you look at the 1800s, the mom, the dad, the kid, all have the same Pluto. And sometimes the grandparents. Whereas like my wife, me, my son, and my daughter all have different Plutos. My son has Pluto in Aquarius, my daughter has Pluto Capricorn, my wife has Pluto Sag, and I'm Pluto Libra. We lived in a time where the Pluto rate was the fastest, the most extreme changes. And so it exits with, it's going to be not as much happening, but a lot happening because it's not that feeling anymore of like, there's so much going on and changing. I think that's what fucks with people in the Sleeping Phoenix is, no, the society's not going to be buzzing.
No.
There's going to be a lot of quietness that you're going to have to like realize.
I already feel that.
Yeah, and it's already happening right now. Most people don't realize it. They're wondering why the nightclubs don't pop off like they used to. They're wondering why the streets don't buzz like they used to. It's never coming back. Really, no matter what that promoter's trying to sell you right now, that we're going to bring it back. We're the ones that's going to bring it back. No, it's not. So, or why, like, look at Las Vegas this year. The tourism is the lowest it's ever been. And they moved a whole sports stadium there, and they're moving the baseball from Oakland over there. They're trying everything, and nobody's drinking's at the lowest. You can already see it right now. It's happening right now. Not that and I know that's very Aquarius. Pluto Leo, when it's at the fastest, is suburban America, the car, your hot wife, your kids, the fucking. Look, the girls in their dress, and the girlfriends are going to the other houses, and we're baking, and we're having the backyard barbecue, and we're listening to Elvis, and look at him, he's got some swag. Oh my God. That's the peak moment of what we all are hoping for again. But in Aquarius, it's the opposite of that, meaning, no, they're not going to go build a lot more new homes. They keep saying it, but they're not going to. They're not going to bring back the auto industry like they tried to save. They're not going to. The people, that whole idea of like barbecues and shit and just like every neighbor is supposed to be cool. No, not every neighbor wants that anymore. Like, know your community will not it might look like it's that way, but it's really not. If you actually tap in, you're like, actually, we're just kind of playing the idea of it, but it's not feeling that way. That's some deep shit. That's the Pluto stuff that people don't. And I love that it's in the 60th gate because it describes all of that so perfect. Does that make, like, I mean, I have that gate, and I also have the 3. I have that alignment, the mutation. So I guess I understand that really well. But that to me is where human design takes astrology to the highest level you can understand it at. You can't understand astrology without adding that. Like, if you know an astrologer who's giving you a Pluto talk and they're not incorporating where that is in the human design and what it connects to and where it is to understand all that, you already know they're missing something. They're not telling you that shit right there. That's the nucleus of it. Like, and that gate, that 60th gate we're in right now, and it's a reminder of the gateway we're entering into for your rest of your life, because Pluto is not coming back to the other side of that gate where the entrance was of 60 in your life. Nor is it coming near the opposition, right? It's over 100 years more till the opposition, way over 100 years. It's a 248-year cycle. Only in the first 98 years is that slow part. The rest of the 150 years is just started.
Pluto will go back into gate 41 on December 5th. I'm not sure.
That'll.
And that's the start.
I think that's kind of the irony, I think, of that next gate is after the 60, you think it's all gonna work out, but I think there's something about the illusion of, what's the illusion of the next gate? It's so, we got to pull it up because it's so like, I like laugh at it. I go, this is exactly where people are thinking they're going to go, but they're not. They're not going there. It's the same thing happened in the 1770s.
Fantasy.
Fantasy, right? Fantasy.
Yeah.
Right? It's fantasy.
See, the way I read that is, and the foil, the opposition to fantasy is arrogance in the opposite gate in Leo. But 41 is the start codon. And so when we look look at Pluto in human design, it's in transit, it's looking at, it's a shut-off switch. It's a delayed shut-off switch. So when Pluto goes into the start codon and says, stop, there's not going to be as many new beginnings. Like, there are going to be only new beginnings kicked off with Pluto in gate 41 that have something to do with what's needed in the new era. Because 41 has a psychic attunement to getting started development on something that is going to become an answer or a solution.
It says the victim of your dreams. Or victim of your dreams. Dreamy, hyperactive. I this one I was like the adrenals. Is your adrenals even gonna be able to handle it? People are feeling like overwhelmed already.
And the thing is, it's like it'll kick you off into a new beginning if that new beginning serves the reality of the new way. But if you're still trying to live your Pluto and Leo fantasy with this gate 41 energy, you're going to waste this energy. And then you're going to be behind, and it's not a good time to be behind.
What is that, the Ouroboros?
That's the snake that eats its own tail.
That makes sense now. And then under fantasy, it says what? If we scroll down a little bit?
Genetic wheel of samsara.
Oh.
So that would be like the reincarnation loop.
And this is where we are all next year, all coming into 2027. We're in this gate. Mm-hmm. And that's why this is where the population went down as well in the 1770s during the Revolutionary War. And there was the fantasy of, the idea of freedom. Like, it's kind of funny because everybody wanted freedom in America. They got it, but it came at where it took them another, 7 years to even create a constitution. And they debated that for a long time, right? So it was all the landowners that were loyalists, they got kicked out of their homes. You're going back to fucking England. And then the localities auctioned the shit for just the locals. Like, hey, Bob, you were in the war. You have 20 horrible continental, because the continental money was worth shit. You have 20 continental dollars? Yeah, okay. This is your house now. Kick that fucking piece of shit out of here. That's this beginning. And this is also where there's traders. So they fought, and like the number one trader, of course, is Benedict Arnold. So his fantasy was the woman who was a loyalist and her family was a loyalist. So Miss Shippen. So he fucking fell in love with her, and he was one of our biggest generals next to Washington, and he betrayed us because of her fantasy love, and that if I love her, then the royals will win, and I got to be with the English, and then it goes horrible. He actually, when he died in England, 20 years later, he wore his Continental Army uniform and died in England in regret. And I want to remind people that we're in that place where people are going to jump sides because of this fantasy that ain't going to happen.
And I remember I got to go to your talk on Nostradamus and kind of some of these recurrences of these patterns. And one of the things that stuck out to me was you talking about how there was similar astrology to times in history where a new leader had been chosen, maybe not elected, but chosen or put on the pedestal. And then right after, something else came and like took them out.
Yeah.
And I'm like still kind of waiting for that to happen. I don't care. I'm not like saying it needs to be in any, like, I'm just watching for where is that taking
I mean,
place?
these eclipses were always about the end of power.
Right.
Kings and leaders. And this one with the opposition of Saturn, Neptune, like it at least tilts the road down that over the next 6 months. Because this one's got the trine to Neptune, the trine to Uranus, the trine to Pluto, but it's opposite Saturn, Neptune. It's in Virgo. The last new moon prior to it was on Regulus, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And this new service-oriented leadership, not kings. It's definitely like these eclipses bring about, these eclipses brought about Bush's, even though he couldn't run again, but nobody liked Bush after 2006. These eclipses, it was done for him. His poll numbers are the worst in 2007 and in 2006. People were over the war. People were like, I'm fucking done. And that's why Obama won in a landslide, because I voted for Obama too. I'm like, fuck this motherfucker. Everybody, you never seen more hate. People think that Trump gets most hate. No, President Bush, it didn't matter where you were. Everybody hated him. I didn't hang around people who liked him. And there was people in my family who liked him. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm voting for Obama. I don't give a fuck. Sorry. And that's going to happen. That disdain, that Virgo triggered hate. But then there's going to be that idea of somebody selling hope in order to get people through a financial crisis. Because these are the same eclipses that brought about where the realization of September 2006 was, oh, the housing market's actually doing horrible. Look at these subprime loans. Uh-oh.
2028 is a GOAT year. Those typically are the famine years.
Right. So if you look at
probably going to be
where we're at, it's very much like 2008 was definitely this crisis that they said on the news as calling it that. 2009 actually was worse than 2008. 2009, I don't know if you remember, was the unemployment rate was the highest and unemployment went extended. I know because I took that bitch the whole time with no tax. I had no tax. I had to pay the taxes in 2013, but still, that was the worst. So if you follow this setup, 2028, that's playing with 2009 territory. What follows? But even 2007 was bad. 2008, everybody that's living in we can just keep cruising in the cross of this cross of planning. South Node Virgo, this thing. Keep whistling while you work, dwarfs. No, the dwarfs are not pulling crystals and diamonds out. They're pulling coal. And it's not coal for power.
It's already been used.
That's the other thing is like, we're at a place to where all the AI is stealing all the energy, and the big crisis is energy, right? So it's like, they're saying they're going to build all these nuclear power plants, but by the time they get to 2027 and the cross of planning already can't even do the fucking infrastructure bill, it hasn't done shit, right? That was passed at the beginning of the 2020s. None of those roads have been built. None of the bridges. A couple, but nothing.
You are the signal boost. You are the energy.
So you think they're going to build the power plants? No.
You're the power plant.
So that's where it's going to get really weird to me is the big thing, and people might not believe it, but these big GPU centers to run your own AI are like about $300,000 for just one tower, $340,000, where you're self-reliant, run your own LLM, create, and even all of your users run through that, so you're not having to use OpenAI or anything like that. That is secretly what the wealthy are doing. That they know with Taiwan, they know with the chips, and if you think of 2027, like this is your time, as you even just said at the beginning of this, to get the shit you need left. As we're back here in Pisces, all the elite know 2027, we're not going to have the shit we had before, and we're not going to have good access anymore. It's not because they want you to own nothing and like it. It's because there's actually the real crisis of the whole switch of the whole universal shit. It just sounds easier for people to digest, to psyop them and say, no, these elite people are going to make you pay. No, it's more like right now they're not telling you that, probably a guy worth 10 million or more just spent $400,000 on NVIDIA GPUs to where he can always run a computer through the next 20, 30 years when there's no availability and internet issues, and have a model that could think the craziest shit, build the craziest shit, do things that you have to have it. But I think
there's an investment strategy.
I think that the future, by 2026, that if you can find a group of people and buy as many GPU supercomputers, it's ironic that like NVIDIA's best one will come out the end of 2026, their best one. I found that just like, okay, that makes sense. Like where you can like forever have that thing to run some crazy idea and actually figure it out, because we're not going to have, and without being on the internet. Because like your normal laptop, your normal desktop, even with the best GPU, is not capable. You have to have these super AI computer. Like, of course, those are the ones that are in the data centers too, but just one of them you need. 350 grand.
I'll go 50-50 with you.
I'm down. I mean, like that's my number one. So the iPhone 17 was released today. They shot the whole thing on iPhone. Because it's in log, but they also do Dolby Vision, but they also have added all these new camera aspects with the Fusion camera and AI and shit. And it's edited on Mac. But what's wild is you can shoot full movies on like 2 theater quality on an iPhone. There's no reason to go buy the new next Canon and to go waste your time right now trying to build these things. You got to think smart right now. Like, what's the real thing that will carry you far out? Like, I'm just saving all my iPhones. I have the iPhone 14, 13, 14. I have a 15. This is the 16 Pro Max, and then I'll have the 17 Pro Max, and then they'll have an 18 Pro Max, and there'll probably be something crazy about it. And I'll have those, and they'll last with that supercomputer, and I can do anything that I'll need. I won't need a Canon camera like this that doesn't have a fucking GPU in it and all that shit like this does. We're at that place to where, like, they literally, the end of the video was like, this thing was shot fully on iPhone 17 Pro Max and edited on a Mac. And if you look at it, you'll be like, there's no way. But it's true, it shoots in log. And now you can hook up a Blackmagic new module they made to it, live stream with these in full cinema log.
Nice.
And do it's fucking crazy.
What's the Blackmagic thing?
It just came out. They just announced it. I got to go look it up. But it's like a little USB-C module that you could hook up and plug HDMI out or SDI out, and then also do time coding between like having like a bunch of iPhones. You could hook up all your friends' iPhone 17 Pros and do a 360 shot and fucking do slow-mo and have them all timed correctly and fucking stop motion the whole thing if people came together and did cool shit, but people don't. No, this is my phone. I don't know if I want to hang out with your phone and us make something cool together. Talk about the best time to do all this shit, and people are like, my phone in my little pocket here.
So that's very Pluto and Aquarius, though, because we've got maybe these new ways of organizing based on who's creatively viable. Like, who's really willing to step to the forefront and be the innovator, and who is in the fantasy. And I feel like that's what 2026 is. I mean, with the year of the horse, the fire horse, which is its element, it's like the sprint.
It is.
It's like 4x speed. Get your team, get the things.
Yeah, the horse tramples on the rabbit, the rat. If you look at the race, the horse runs over things.
Yeah.
I was born day of the horse, so I know that. So I'm
a horse year.
Yeah, so that's why we get along. I'm day of the horse. So believe it or not, in Chinese astrology, your year, your day, and your hour are everything.
Yeah. I mean,
everything. Like, and so you might have a bad year, but if your day is that year, that helps. Or the hour, there's even more to it, but like, people don't look at that fully. They always just go, well, I'm this year of that.
Yeah.
There's so much more. But I think, yeah, I think Pluto and Aquarius, like when you think about the creativity you just brought up, I mean, I look at that and I go, when you look at the other iPhones, they don't do any of that. What's the number one iPhone sold? The regular iPhone, not the Pros. They got rid of the iPhone, the one that was like bigger, that wasn't a Pro. They just got rid of it because it's like nobody's buying that. They're just buying the normal iPhone, or they're buying like the SE, which they've made the E now. But like they've slimmed it down. They made a new iPhone Air that's kind of cool, but it's just for people who want a really thin phone with pro quality shit. But it's kind of an interesting moment though, creativity wise. You could literally make the sickest shit you've ever made better than what you can pay for a fucking $40,000 fucking red camera on an iPhone 17 Pro with that new dongle that Blackmagic has worked with Apple with. And do and you don't need, and it's in log, and then use a Mac and just fucking, all right, throw your LUTs on, do that, and fucking go to town. You don't need all this extra shit.
Yeah, and it'll just be like this great increasing divide of like the main characters and the spectators. And that's the other thing, is like most people are becoming spectators.
So Uranus is coming back into Taurus one more time.
Which is interesting.
Don't cheapen out and go, I just am going to take the basic one. Get the one that does everything that you know it'll do for now and the future. Because when Uranus and Gemini came back in and World War II started, everybody wished they had the chocolate. They couldn't get chocolate. They couldn't get a car because all the car manufacturers were making tanks and boats and fucking shells. You couldn't get shit through most of Uranus Gemini. You don't get it. It's for the war effort, or it's for this effort, or it's for that.
For the AI, yeah.
Right? Or for the AI. So it's like this Uranus Taurus is a blessing. Get the best of whatever it is that you need. This is where you get it, instead of chimping out and being like, let me pick the easier, cheaper route. No, Taurus's lesson always, I don't care if it's Uranus or anything, is never pick the cheap route. At the end, too, it's a very, the last degrees is where the eye of the bull is, and so you can go blind. The cheaper you are, you go blind. So I have my moon at 28 Taurus, right? 2854. If I lived in that cheap life, I'd be blind. Think of that. That's some deep shit.
And isn't the eye of the bull what Orion is shooting his arrow at?
Yeah. So
I don't know. That's a whole other wormhole, but
also the Pleiades star clusters at 0 Gemini and 29 Taurus, and that Uranus is retrograding back over that. And so the Pleiadians would even say, yeah, whatever you came here to do spiritually, whatever you need, don't hold back and be like, oh, I need to be out in the desert at Burning Man, and that's the only way I can be spiritual. I need to look spiritual in order to be spiritual. No. Whatever you need to be spiritual, and whatever the things that you need to do, get it now. Like this is till April 25th, the time to fucking get it. You know, to me, it's like people who hold on to Bitcoin or something, like, what a waste. Like, use that money and get the physical shit you need. It's not about making money in the future that way, like by investment. I don't think the human design is supporting that old system, that idea of like, well, I have money, so I get more favor in the system. That ain't the future. People think it is, though. So I think that was a good episode to come back to.
Yeah.
A new dawn.
The dawn continues.
Yeah, and I think you're right about, I think your coolest, you had a lot of great things. I think one of my favorite things, though, is that looking at that 44th gate where that Atlas, 3i Atlas and Mars are going to meet at 44 in the spleen, and like what we're seeing right now in the talk about all these things that are about DNA, about immune system, about the cells, like with vaccines and everything. That debate's getting fucking hot right now. And this is just weeks away. It makes sense. Something's going to intersect at that time about all that shit. Today, it just finally got released. There was a study at the Henry Ford Institute about kids on the childhood vaccine schedule that they had never published because they didn't want to get fired. So they took 18,000 people, only 2,000 of them are unvaccinated, so it makes it worse for the vaccinated. And they went to try and prove vaccine hesitant people that they were wrong,
sick, yeah.
And it was the opposite. Right? Like most of the kids, all the speech issues, the neurological issues, every issue was in the vaccinated. In most of all the unvaccinated, zero.
Because you're putting all these random codes.
I know.
Into your...
Or the head, or one of the old guys, he's at Pfizer now, but he was part of the FDA, that Scott guy, I forgot where he works now, but he was all over COVID. He's always on CNBC. He said yesterday, he's like, well, you know, RFK, he's making it to where he's going to force us probably to take aluminum out of the vaccines, which there is no other alternative. And that's going to destroy the whole industry. I'm like, he just said it on fucking air. You think injecting yourself with aluminum is going to go well?
There's a lot of nickel coming through.
I know. But just even thinking of the frequency waves that are, right? You're adding aluminum into it. We already know if you already have metals in your teeth, you better get that shit out. Yeah. I mean, even though I kind of talk to people, Pisces is kind of, you can transcend some of this stuff. Like some of it, like I can't stop the fucking cloud fucking shit, right? Can't stop the fucking, so I don't have a panic attack if I see, oh God, there's all this fucking chemtrail shit happening. I don't have a panic attack over it. I just go, okay, well, I can't do anything about it. It's not going to ruin my day. I don't like it, but I'm not going, because I'm like, you're not testing, does it hit you or what's in it? We don't even know what's in it. Have you yourself gone up there and done, like, I know there's shit, but what is it? And does it reach us fully? And there's a lot of questions to it. And I'm not trying to say it doesn't exist. I'm trying to say, like, you have to get to a point in life where we can't escape all the fucking frequency shit. It's how you have to conduct yourself and have to really internally be following your strategy and authority on everything, because that includes getting through the weirdest shit. If it works for just how to live your life, and whatever that payoff is, whether it's satisfaction or it's being the guide or whatever it might be, it's the same thing for that shit.
Yeah.
So
it's showing you what's not your job. And the more cognitive resources you retain from worrying about everything.
Oh yeah.
The more clarity you have tuned into your signal, and that's all. It's like, it's really like a mind game. You know, it's really like in the Matrix. You really have to bring everything to like focus, but within, and that's how we navigate. It's not conceptual. This is real.
Right.
And I think that's interestingly, like, I know we're closing off, but like, all of social media is becoming fake, basically. And it's like, maybe that decline in actually interesting content will actually get people to start paying attention to something else, because it's like not giving them anything real. Whatever. We'll see. Follow your design. Talk to me if you need help with that.
Yeah, and you've got readings you can get, and you have a course coming up, an event,
I have a workshop coming up. So I've been working with these 3D, which is the chart that 5D and 6D body graphs, which describe the various layers of your soul contract. Not everybody is working with all of them, but it is good to know how you can differentiate like what your service to others is versus your service to the planet versus your service to yourself, if you speak that language. But even better is I'm holding a Human Design for Ascension 3-day workshop And this is designed to teach you human design in 3 days, which you're not going to
Right.
be the pro, but you are going to get your tool belt filled with the things that you can plug in the numbers and know what's going on, and like not be overwhelmed and not be mystified, but be able to glean actionable guidance from any chart you look at. And that's the whole point, is that we got to move more quickly. So things should be more efficient. And this course is designed that way, and it's going to be fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And where do people find it at?
Just go on my Instagram, and it's the first link in the bio.
Perfect.
Human Design for Ascension. There's a couple posts on it too, but it's 18 to the 20th of September. And if you're in Boulder, you can come live and party with us too.
That's awesome. Colorado's badass. He invited me to go, and I can't go. So
we were bummed.
And I had to be honest to him. That's where it's that hard no. I have to like learn, where usually I'd be like, you know what? Fuck yeah. And like, you know what? I have so much fucking going on. I have to do an event in Texas.
He said,
I said no. And I really sincerely was like, I hope you know I'm telling you this from that human design like place. Like,
that's the beauty. You get to respect everybody's authority and not take it personally and not make it mean anything.
Right. It's taught me a lot, human design, to be like, you know, not for myself too, but also how to communicate better to others about it too. Like, no crazy excuses. Just like, you know what? I don't even have to tell you everything. Just it's a no, and I'm not there, but I'm excited for you and doing it. And I was, you know, it's definitely something.
Because that's the thing. Like, we really want to start going into in-person stuff.
Yeah, big time.
Because we want to be building the team. And that's
where you and I got to come up with something for this after we both do our events, September, October, something for this like November time before all this big stuff that comes, and plus 3i Atlas will be being shown, and that we got to do something.
I'm ready.
So, fuck yeah, dude. Well, love you, bro. We'll
love you too, bro.
We don't have a set time with these episodes like we did on our last season when we were before dawn, but
just have fun now.
Yeah, we're just show up whenever we're called. We're 2 MGs, so what we do. But we appreciate it. Make sure that you check out Human Design Maven, all of his stuff, and he's got his events, readings. I brought reading back. You can get a reading from me, and the event I'm doing is Bridge Expo. It's in October on the 17th through the 19th out in Dallas, Texas. The link is down below this video and in my link tree on all my socials. But appreciate you all. We'll see you on the next one. Stay positive. It's going to be the best trip ever. We're getting off the old journey, getting into the wide ocean.
Let's go.
Let's go. Adios. Take care. Bye-bye.
Attention, please.
Yo. Okay.
Attention.